It was just a no-brainer for me. I felt like over the years, there's been so many back injuries and so many people getting hurt. Scott Kaufman and everybody at Chasm Racing Products have come up with a system that basically supports your back. It gives you that little bit of cushion that you need when you get in those wrecks or that downforce collision. And I feel like next level cutting edge technology that just helps us as drivers just be that little bit more safe. I'm thankful for everything that Chasm Safety Products has done, and I think that they're going to continue to innovate, and it's only going to get better and better for the future to come.
Can't decide between the Outlaws at Attica and Sharon or 410s at Knoxville and Williams Grove? You don't have to. Torn between Jacksonville and Jackson Motorplex? No worries, we have got you covered. Hi everybody, Dave Reef, and I'll be in the Dirt Zone studio Friday and Saturday for coverage of all the racing action Dirt Vision has to offer, but on a single screen. We will take you track by track to catch all the key moments. It is split screen racing that makes sure you don't miss a thing. It is the Dirt Zone this Friday and Saturday on your home for the greatest shows on dirt, Dirt Vision.
It's ARP fasteners for whatever you race. From 2 wheels to 4. Off-road, on-road, even water. From the flat track to the salt flats. Grassroots racers, weekend warriors, and pros alike trust ARP. Made in America quality, family owned and operated. When failure is not an option, it's ARP-bolts.com. No matter what you race.
Ready to rise? To the challenge? Above obstacles. Yes! Above perceptions.
Rediger, implement the pass on the top lane!
Above it all.
Let's go!
If so, we're looking for you. Join us at Toyota Racing.
Dirt Vision presents the 500 Sprint Car Tour. It's a tradition of speed, anchored by the historic Little 500.
Caleb Armstrong to the inside, he'll run his cousin up the track, and just like that, Caleb Armstrong steals the Little 500!
Featuring the best coverage of short track, open wheel action on pavement.
I'm Brett Baldeck, down trackside.
Dirt Vision is home to the world's biggest sprint car races.
Welcome into Anderson Speedway and the 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500 presented by UAW. Yesterday was pole day. Top 15 cars locked into the field. Tonight we will set the rest of the 33 cars starting field. We're here in beautiful Anderson, Indiana. Welcome in. My name is Ashton Smythe. Joined alongside me is Brett Baldeck. Crazy day yesterday. Mother Nature was not a fan of us here at Anderson.
Yes, Mother Nature extended our stay here yesterday, so qualifying went from the day into the darkness, but luckily the sun is out today. We have much nicer weather, so we have practice coming up and bump day. I think in practice we'll see some of the guys who locked in maybe do a full fuel run, and then those guys that still want to get locked in do some of those practice qualifying laps. So it should be another busy day here at the racetrack.
Yeah, lots of things to test today before going into 500 laps tomorrow. Like you said, fuel runs, tires as well. 5 sets of stamped tires for each of these guys. So they'll be scuffing in those tires before the 500 laps tomorrow, including live pit stops, all of that fun stuff. We'll see some great bumping here today. A few guys decided to not take times yesterday as well.
Yeah, Jared Kobza decided it was a little too cold to go out, so he didn't want to take his third run. But as we mentioned, today he feels much more confident because the sun is out. It's slightly warmer. It's actually warmest that it's been in 2 days, almost 60 degrees right now. So we'll see what kind of lap time he can put up today.
Yeah, Landon Butler battling some engine issues as well yesterday. Landon Butler, but back and should be qualifying here as well. And Anthony Nocella did not get to take a time, forgot to go over scales post qualifying run. So we'll see lots of excitement today, as well as with that unpredictable weather. We saw a lot of guys that we are typically used to seeing lock into the feature did not.
Correct. I mean, the Mother Nature came in and put that rain down. So the first 7 drivers that went out got some really good times, and the guys on the second half after Mother Nature came through were struggling to find speed with those cold temperatures and no rubber on the racetrack.
A more so typical day in Indiana than what we're used to seeing that we saw yesterday. But either way, everyone's excited to be here. Like I said, my name is Ashton Smythe, Brett Baldeck. We've got you covered with all of the action happening in the pits today, but also joining us on the broadcast today for Bump Day, up in the booth, nice and warm and out of this wind that's blowing through here in Anderson, Indiana, Corey Hensley. Welcome in, Corey.
Thank you very much, Ashton. Yeah, you guys are doing a great job out there as this wind just will not let up. Tomorrow's going to be much better, though. This wind's finally going to let up on us. At least the rain has let up for today. Much better day. The best weather we have had yet for the 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500 presented by UAW. As the only thing we're fighting today is wind, no rain in the forecast today, and much warmer temperatures. We're already up to 59 degrees here in Anderson, Indiana at the moment. High up into the 60s today. We've had a little bit of sunshine coming out in between the clouds, and when you look up through there, you can actually see some blue sky in parts of the sky here in Anderson, Indiana. That's something we haven't seen in several days here in East Central Indiana, so very happy to see the blue skies instead of the gray. And we are just about ready to get practice back underway. As you can see the weather there, a much, much better weather day here today for Bump Day and practice for the 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500 presented by UAW. As we will have cars on the track momentarily for practice and then Bump Day to commence as we pick up where we left off last night. As we remember, the first car down here is the 18 machine. This team was working hard yesterday to get a motor in this car for Landon Butler, third-generation driver out of Bushnell, Florida. Landon Butler had motor problems yesterday. They wound up having water in their oil, and his dad Shane had told us that they didn't have another motor, didn't have anything. The Pierce team, Sam Pierce Chevrolet Group, nice enough to loan them a motor, and they were trying everything they could yesterday to get this car in time through the rain delay to get him out for qualifying. Not able to make it, but they worked hard, got the motor in this car, and Landon Butler today is going to have a chance to bump his way into the field in that number 18 machine. The Parallax Motorsports, Rural Hill Farm, TTI machine, Shane Butler entry for Landon Butler. This would be the 50th time someone from the Butler family has made the Little 500 if Landon's able to bump his way into the field. He's trying to make his first Little 500. You see the hood is off of that machine. You can see that motor they've put in the car. Obviously trying to make sure everything is kind of good to go there with him. Probably reading the gauges, making sure everything's where it should be before he gets underway with practice. This will just be engine heat at the moment. Of course, Landon Butler, the grandson of the 1988 pole sitter Stan Butler. So that Butler name synonymous here with the Little 500. A lot of success in it. Landon trying to make his own legacy in this great event, as he will be the first one pushed off in this number 18 machine. And that's the other thing to keep your eye on today. This track is going to be much, much better than what it was last night when it was about 9 o'clock when we ended. About 9:30. Completely got dark on us, got really, really cold. And a lot of the drivers talked about that when it gets that late. It's tough. That will be the racing conditions, only it's going to be a lot warmer than it was, though. But when it gets late and it gets cold like that, almost felt like fall here in East Central Indiana, and certainly made the track very, very difficult. So that's going to give maybe some of these drivers trying to bump their way into the field an advantage, and maybe something some of these drivers riding the bubble don't want to see. As the 27 Chris Jagger's out here for practice as well. Jagger, one of those drivers right on the bubble. He's 32nd after yesterday's qualifying in the 27 machine out of Warsaw, Indiana. The J&N Stone Jagger Racing, Professional Auto Sales and Service. Chris Jagger entry for Chris Jagger. Started 29th back in 2002. That was his best little 500 start. Coming off his best little 500 finish of 16th last year for the 27 of Chris Jagger. He heads in for engine heat. The 27, Jake McElfresh, has fired. McElfresh had a little bit of an issue yesterday, spinning the car out, got down in the grass, got those back tires covered in grass, had to go back to the pits, but were able to lock themselves in the field, at least for the time being. Looking like they're probably going to be safe. They're 25th in that 27 machine. The 10-plate Fine Food and Spirits, Greenside Realty Group, Rice Racing, Gordon Food Service, Black Diamond Earthworks, Patrick Rice entry for Jake McElfresh. Looking for his 4th Little 500. McElfresh, no stranger to Anderson Speedway, though. Usual stock car competitor here, especially in street stock competition at Anderson Speedway. The 2019 CRA Street Stock Point Champion for Jake McElfresh, who has finished 12th in the Little 500 back in 2022, so has had some pretty good success in this event. See what he can do in this Patrick Rice entry this year. It looks like, as you can see there with a great drone shot, as more cars start to make their way up that hill from the pit area. Including the car that's currently right on the bubble, that number 2 machine of David Goodwill, 33rd. So he will be the first driver bumped if somebody can make their way into the field. We also saw the 31, Tim Creets, second. The 44, Scotty Adama, make their ways down the banking onto the track, as continuing with engine heat here. 2 machines, a 71-year-old out of Napa, California, the Whalen Motorsports, DDS Racing, Baker's Custom Cabinet, Bernie's Hair Saloon. Graham Signature Meals, Ken Whalen entry for David Goodwill. He has 12 total championships in both midgets and sprints on dirt and pavement for David Goodwill in that number 2 machine. Again, currently 33rd on the charts. His total time, a 48.030. So that will be your bump time. Have to do better than a 48.030. It's possible to still turn a 48 and get into the field, but basically you're going to be looking for 47. And again, with the Little 500, 4-lap total time. Doesn't matter, kind of matters what your best lap is, because that's going to improve your 4-lap time, but it's your 4-lap time overall, so if you really mess up one lap, it can really hurt you. Drivers today will get 2 attempts instead of 3 when we get underway with bump day qualifying. Yesterday they got 3 attempts. Today they will only get 2 attempts. Again, though, they can come out as many times as they want, kind of fire the car a little bit, and as long as they don't take the green flag, will not count as an attempt. And they can pull off at any point before the checkered flag. That will count as an attempt if they take the green flag. Basically, you can do that once. If you take the green flag the second time, you must lock in a time. As the 20 of Shane Hollingsworth out on the track for engine heat here. The Kiko Coatings, Advanced Shocks, Nolan Racing entry out of Lafayette, Indiana for Shane Hollingsworth, longtime competitor of the Little 500, locked himself in as 10th. Again, the top 15 are locked in place. The highest anybody can start today, no matter what, is 16th. So Shane Hollingsworth officially will start in the 10th position for tomorrow night's 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500, presented by UAW. Shane Hollingsworth had a good run last year going. He led 40 laps in the Little 500 1 year ago in the number 20 machine, one of the V6 entries into the Little 500. Can certainly tell it's a V6 when it gets wound up around Anderson Speedway. They certainly sound different than the rest of the cars. Shane Hollingsworth has started on the front row 3 times. Was hoping to get back up there again, but not quite able to do it, but was able to start in the top 10 as he'll roll off 10th. Hollingsworth looking to add to his impressive finishes. He has 5 top 5 finishes, 8 top 10 finishes in the Little 500. Finished second back in 2020. As the other Nolan Racing entry out on the track now. This team had a lot of work yesterday trying to find speed out of this car. Finally found enough to continue the top 10 streak for the Franklin, Indiana driver Emerson Axum in the Kiko Coating, Engines by Tranter, Nolan Racing entry. Emerson Axum, a 4-time Tulsa Shootout winner, the 2025 Chili Bowl Prelim Night winner, and the 2022 USAC National Sprint Rookie of the Year, and of course last year's Little 500 pole sitter in the number 4 machine for Emerson Axum. Axum now has started in the top 10 in all 4 of his Little 500 starts. He will start from the 6th position tomorrow night in the number 4. And out on the track now, one of our drivers trying to bump their way into the field. Kind of going exactly what happened. I thought we saw this 92 machine lock themselves into the field, at least turn a lap yesterday and lock it in. That time was disallowed for the 92 machine in the Nocella Paving Bentley Saloon entry out of Berlin, Massachusetts. Anthony Nocella in the 92 did not report directly to tech. Time disallowed. So Nocella's going to have to bump his way into the Little 500 field here later on this afternoon. In that 92 machine, the time he had turned would have had him 26th yesterday, but disallowed for not reporting to tech. So Anthony Nocella is going to have to bump his way into the field today. And as I meant, I expect this track to be much, much better here, especially for bump day qualifying. Might be a benefit to some of these drivers, and one of them that had the same thinking I do on that's the 93 there of Jerry Kobza, who just called it a day last night. Did not lock in a time and said this track's going to be way better today. It's not even worth it. I can't even hardly get any oil pressure in this car. It's so cold. So we'll just come back tomorrow. We'll have a practice session. There'll be rubber laid down. It's not going to rain. Hopefully the sun comes out a little bit, and Kobza is very confident he can bump his way into this field. In the Red Line Oil, Jerry Kobza entry, number 93, out of Folsom, California there for Jerry Kobza. Trying to get his way into this field. Also has Woodland Auto Display on board that number 93 machine. Exactly what Kobza is able to do if they did change the setup as well and whatnot. Kobza, I believe, fired. So yeah, Kobza did fire, just very, very slowly. Now gets it rolling there in the 93 machine. That's one of our cars to watch today. So we've seen 2 of them so far trying to bump their way in with Anthony Nocella and Jerry Kobza. 51 of Logan Seavey there was out for engine heat. Logan Seavey yesterday qualified 22nd in that number 51 machine. 87, Brady Allum right now is 30th in that 87 machine. Kind of hoping nothing crazy happens, hoping that's good enough, but not quite definitely safe. There is a chance that Brady Allum gets bumped. So we'll see how bump day goes for that Brady Allen team in that number 87. As we're working on getting more cars down here for engine heat. Engine heat continuing here today at Anderson Speedway. Practice will be coming up momentarily. The 2 down here, I think, gone through everybody for engine heat, I do believe, at this time. David Goodwill was already out here for engine heat, so I believe he's down here ready to go for practice. As we'll be able to see just what kind of lap times get laid down right off the bat. And to bump your way into the field for the bump drivers, you're looking at lap times that need to be in the 47s more odds than not. Your bump time, 48.030 for the 2 of David Goodwill, currently 33rd. That is your last car in the field. So it is technically possible you could turn a 48 and make the field, but it is going to be very, very close if you do. You're looking for 47-second lap times. Good group of drivers in the 47 lap times. The 27, Jake McElfresh, the first driver in that group at a 47.171. That is currently 25th on the charts, and the 47.726 for the 27 of Chris Jagger is 32nd. So 25th through 32nd, all in the 47-second range. In qualifying, the two out on the track. Obviously, it'll be interesting. There is a chance that David Goodwill doesn't ride it out and elects to come out and re-qualify when we get to that point and just doesn't want to ride the bubble and lock himself in even more. In this Wayland Motorsports, DDS Racing, Baker's Custom Cabinet, Bernie's Hair Salon, Graham's Signature Meals, Ken Whalen entry. For David Goodwill, that was a 12.805 for David Goodwill. Gonna have to be better than that. That's a 12.097. 12.097. That would be an okay first lap when we get underway with qualifying, trying to make the field. 11.722. There's the speed Goodwill's going to need. 11.722. $11.719. Goodwill looking like some good speed out of this two-car way up the racetrack in turns 3 and 4. Didn't slow him down too much, an 11.831 though. You can keep it under the 12 seconds, you're probably in for sure. If Goodwill can keep that up. 11.696. Quicker yet. The one to go signal for David Goodwill. 12.086 that time. Goodwill coming to the checkered flag here. 11.817. Goodwill has the speed. And the reason why I was saying it's going to be an interesting decision for David Goodwill is until Anthony Nocella's time was disallowed, Goodwill was not in this field. He was going to be the first car on the outside looking in. Nocella's time disallowed, so Goodwill now sits 33rd. And we'll see. Goodwill could elect to just say, I'm not going to ride out the bubble. I'm just going to throw my time out and re-qualify. Because once again, if you do come out to re-qualify today, your old time goes away. Doesn't matter if you're slower. You don't get to keep that time you ran yesterday. If you elect to re-qualify, whatever you qualify today will be your qualifying time. And again, the highest you can start today will be 16th. As now a whole bunch of drivers make their way down here for practice. Something a lot of these bump drivers are going to want to see. The more cars, the better, because the more rubber is going to be laid down here on Anderson Speedway. So a good group of cars down here for practice, including the 39 of Ryan Newman. Also do have the 18, Landon Butler, 27, Jake McElfresh, all ready to be pushed off. And this is going to be the first practice laps for one of our drivers that is officially on the outside looking in. As they get it pushed off there, that number 18, Parallax Motorsports, Rural Hill Farm, TTI Machine, Shane Butler entry. Out of Bushnell, Florida, Landon Butler's trying to make his first Little 500 start. This team has had an eventful week already. They worked hard yesterday to get that motor put in that was loaned to them by Aaron Sam Pierce and that Sam Pierce Chevrolet group, helping them out. Landon clearly just trying to get heat in this car. They still had the hood off, just trying to make sure everything is good in that car. We do have the 27 Jake McElfresh out on the track for practice. McElfresh 25th yesterday with a total time of 47.171. In the tin plate, Fine Food and Spirits, Greenside Realty Group, Rice Racing, Gordon Food Service, Black Diamond Earthworks, Patrick Rice entry for Jake McElfresh. Also have Ryan Newman out there in the number 39 machine. Ryan Newman out of South Bend, Indiana. Of course, the 2008 Daytona 500 winner, 2002 NASCAR Rookie of the Year, and All-Star Race winner, 18 NASCAR Cup Series wins in the Ed Martin Ford, Vors Welding and Steel, Simpson Race Products, Lucas Oil, SRI, Shelby Engine Company, Clausen Marshall, Newman Racing entry. As the 31 of Tim Creech II is out, one of our rookie drivers in the field. Tim Creech II should be safe. He's up in 21st, where he will roll off tomorrow night. In the Burco Plastic Molding, Creech Graphic Install, Slinkard Motorsports, Advanced Racing Suspensions, Indy Race Parts, Adana Racing Products, Tim and Amanda Creech entry for Tim Creech II. 20, Shane Hollingsworth out in the 20. Here for practice. Shane Hollingsworth, Kiko Coatings, Advanced Shocks, Nolan Racing entry. The Tim Creech, Shane Hollingsworth. Anthony Nocella, one of our drivers trying to lock themselves in that 92 machine. The Nocella Paving, Anthony Nocella entry. See that smoke, hard on the brakes there. Entered the corner, Nocella working that wheel down the straightaway. Wind might play a little bit of a factor today, as windy as it is. And the 20, Shane Hollingsworth, currently with the best time here, 11.278. Hollingsworth looks to have another good car for the Unified Group Services Little 500, presented by UAW. Ryan Newman better than he was yesterday during qualifying as well in that 39 machine. 11.468 for the 39 of Ryan Newman. Drivers going to work on getting pushed back to the pit area. More drivers making their way out for practice, including the 93 of Jerry Kobza. Kobza, one of our drivers, trying to bump his way into the field. See the 87 Brady Allen, the 4 Donnie Adams Jr., 74 Tony Main, all down here ready to get pushed off as we continue through practice. What will be the final practice for the 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500, presented by UAW. We get set for bump day qualifying coming up in just a little bit. Will be the final practice session of the afternoon. Right now, drivers trying to get as much time out on the track as they can as that sun shining down on Anderson Speedway for the first time all week. 74 Tony Main going to be the first one pushed off with this group. Out of Farmland, Indiana, the pallet builder, Glenn and Virginia Main entry. The Big Stuff Paint and Body Works on board that car for Tony Main. Tony Main currently in 31st position, so a driver currently watching that bubble in the 74 machine. The 4 of Donnie Adams Jr., the Adams & Company Tax Service Incorporated, Jeans Root Beer, K-Max Station, FTL Global Carriers, DB Adams Motorsports LLC entry for the 2007 Little 500 pole sitter. Best finish in the Little 500, third back in 2009. 87 Brady Allen, one of those drivers that hoping things don't get too crazy, hoping they're safe. They're currently 30th in that 87 machine. For Brady Allen, a 47.5 flat, 47.500 was Brady Allen's time. Jerry Kobza in the red line oil. Woodland Auto Body. Jerry Kobza entry out of Folsom, California there for Jerry Kobza. See exactly what kind of speed he does have. Said he was not able to show what he had at all yesterday in this car. Temperature's just too cold, could not get the car to stick on the track correctly. We will see exactly what Kobza has. Scotty Adema back in the 44 machine today. Adema currently sits in the 29th position, so kind of like Brady Allen. Adema hoping that their time was good enough and they don't wind up seeing a whole lot of bumping going on, and they wind up getting bumped out after drivers maybe get bumped and bump their way back into the field. In that number 44 machine for Scotty Adema, one of the Florida drivers in the field. Out of Fort Myers, Florida, the LJ Adema's Motorsports funding. Special thanks to his mom and dad. His own machine and entry. He has started 29th in both of his Little 500 starts, and that's currently where he is at again. So that would be certainly an interesting note. 3 for 3 for Scotty Adema, starting in that 29th position if it were to hold the way it is right now. We see Tony Main in that 74 familiar car. Tony Main, longtime sprint car competitor here at Anderson Speedway. There's Jerry Kobza in that 93 machine. Kobza right now does not have the speed he's going to need. So trying to find that speed right up against the wall. That time by 12.614. Kobza's going to need a lot more speed to make this field. .364 there for Jerry Kobza. Going to need more than that. As we see Donnie Adams Jr., his best time at the moment, good enough for 8th, 11.576. Again, you will not see all drivers today. Some are not even on the property at other race events. So electing not for the final practice. They're good enough. They've loaded their cars up, just waiting on the show tomorrow. Others wanting the more track time here for the final practice for the 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500, presented by UAW. And a good lap for Tony Main, 11.556 for that number 74 machine. Main certainly looking like he has the speed to be in this field and get his way back in, even if he does get bumped. Main currently 7th quick on the day. A very good lap there at 11.556 for Tony Main. That is certainly better than he qualified at yesterday. Kobza and that team will certainly go to work. Back in the pit area on the 93 machine, see if they can find the speed they're needing. Best time right now, 12.364. Gonna certainly need to be down in the 11s for at least a few laps to make this field for the 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500, presented by UAW. The number 10 out on the track now, one of our drivers up in the top 10. He will roll off 8th tomorrow night in the number 10 machine, as getting pushed back to the pit area. And that familiar number 10 out of New Haven, Indiana, the Kohler Rentals, KRJ Race Products, J&J Termite Control, Pro Strip, Penske Racing Shocks, nicely done mechanical. Ron Kohler entry of Chris Neuenschwander. Neuenschwander there in the number 10. Schwander's best finish in the Little 500 came back in 2014. He finished 6th. '27 Chris Jagger out on the track now. Jagger currently 32nd after yesterday. It's one of those drivers that's going to have to ride out the bubble today. In the number 27 machine, the J&N Stone, Jagger Racing, Professional Auto Sales and Service, Chris Jagger entry of Chris Jagger. Also see the 51 out of Sutter, California, the Sanders Engineering, Metalworks, Wyman Construction, Cromer Racing, Mike Phelps entry of Logan Seavey. Logan Seavey probably not happy with how yesterday went for them. They're 22nd. as those are the only two cars we have out on the track. Logan Seavey's time yesterday was a 46.244. Best individual lap, 11.351 for Logan Seavey. See what he can do here today, and also see what Chris Jagger can do in that 27. As they work around a Anderson Speedway that finally has that sun shining on it. Certainly start taking more and more rubber to the racetrack very, very quickly. 11.457 that time by for Logan Seavey. Puts him fourth today. Getting close to what his best individual lap was during qualifying yesterday. And now basically right there at it, an 11.357 for Logan Seavey. 11.285, that's better than his best individual lap during qualifying yesterday. So Logan Seavey certainly finding that speed they were looking for. Logan Seavey sees the one to go machine in this 51 machine. 11.273, top of the board for Logan Seavey now today. Be interesting to see what this team decides to do for Logan Seavey. That lap was an 11.296. That's back-to-back laps in the 11.2s. For Logan Seavey, 11.351, his best individual yesterday. Seavey is currently 22nd. The highest you can start today is 16th. But with bump cars in the field, if something were to happen while you were out there qualifying, if you give up your time, could wind up missing the race entirely. So I'm not sure if a few positions is worth that to some of these teams or not. You see Logan Seavey pushed back to the pit area. Don't believe we have any more cars quite yet ready to come out here for practice. Looks like we do have one being pushed to the track area back there as you get a good view of all the action happening in the pits. It does look like we have one on his way out here. A lot of these teams going to work, and you can see some of these cars, trailers completely closed up. They are happy with how their runs went yesterday, not even here today. They're running other events today, and we'll see them back tomorrow for the 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500 presented by UAW. That's the 10 machine that was making his way back to the track. Car scheduled to roll off 8th tomorrow night. Best time was a 44.922, 44.922. The time for this number 10 machine, best individual lap, 11.170. For the New Haven, Indiana driver and the Kohler Reynolds, KRJ Race Products, J&J Termite Control, Pro Strip, Penske Racing Shocks, nicely done mechanical Ron Kohler entry of Chris Neuenschwander, who will be making his 12th Little 500 start. Neuenschwander getting pushed off. Chris Neuenschwander's going to have the track to himself. Certainly seeing some drivers run the times at least they were yesterday, or even a little bit quicker already. As we continue through practice here today, the final practice for the 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500 presented by UAW. Neuenschwander on the gas. Some awesome camera angles here for the Little 500 week here at Anderson Speedway. See what Neuenschwander can do as he comes out of turn number 4. This is usually the lap times start picking up. And there goes Neuenschwander, 11.463. And backs it down after that. So Neuenschwander makes it on the board. He'll be fifth quick, 11.463. 3/10 off his best lap from yesterday during qualifying. Neuenschwander, one of those drivers that was able to come out before the rain hit yesterday and get some laps laid down. Good enough to get him a starting spot inside the top 10 for this year's Little 500. The Neuenschwander and that team will head back to the pit area, and another car ready to come down. As the practice clock is open, they can just come and go as they please, and actually a good bit of cars now making their way back onto the racetrack. You see them all getting pushed down, including both the Nolan Racing entries, it looks like. Also see Ryan Newman making his way back down onto the track. For the first time, we'll see the 17 of Garrett Saunders out here as well. And now the 87, late one coming, joining the group quickly there, Brady Allum. Gonna go with this group as well. As for some of these drivers, this will for sure be the only activity they get today. Both the Nolan Racing entry, Shane Hollingsworth, Emerson Axum, both starting in the top 10. They are locked in, top 15 locked in yesterday. 17, Garrett Saunders there as well. Garrett Saunders currently 26th. So you'd have to think Garrett Saunders safely in up there in 26th position at a 47.241, 47.241. 17 of Garrett Saunders, the number 4 Emerson Axum out on the track out of Franklin, Indiana. In the Kiko coating, engines by Tranter, Nolan Racing entry. Kept his streak intact. 4 for 4 now for Emerson Axum. He has started in the top 10 in all 4 of his Little 500 starts. So has been very, very impressive. When it comes to qualifying, the thing Emerson Axum really wants to change is the finishes. Despite the 3 top 10 starts, only 1 top 10 finish. That was 10th back in 2022 for Emerson Axum. 17, Garrett Saunders heads back to the pit area. Shane Hollingsworth back out in the number 20 machine. Currently second in that Kiko Coatings Advanced Shocks Nolan Racing V6 entry. Brady Allen back out in this 87 machine. Allen out of Taylorsville, North Carolina, the Boyce Industries Gen 3 Motorsports entry. Brady Allen, Ryan Newman's back in that 39 machine out on the track. Newman and that team have been trying everything they can to get some speed out of that 39 Ford machine. Just have not had the speed they're looking for yet. To go signal out for this group. So far it's still Logan Seavey on top. Emerson Axum has jumped to second. Shane Hollingsworth's fallen to third. So Emerson Axum up to second quick on the day now, 11.276 for Emerson Axum. Great look at the cars getting ready to be pushed back to the pit area. Do have more making their way down. We continue through the final practice for the Little 500. Practice scheduled to go until 1:15 here today. So quickly approaching just about 1 hour, about 7 minutes away from just 1 hour left to go in final practice for the 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500 presented by UAW. Big thank you to Unified Group Services coming on board sponsoring the Little 500 this year. Appreciate them for all their support and help with this great event. Also UAW for their continued long-standing support of the Little 500. As this group appears to have a lot of those drivers kind of on the bubble or near the bubble, as we see 74 Tony Main back out. Had a lot of speed earlier. He's currently 31st. Riding that bubble today is Tony Main in 31st. A 47.709 for Tony Main, but ran a very good practice lap here so far today. Back out again for practice. Tony Main into the top 10. Tony Main rounding out the top 10 at the moment, 11.556. Good enough for 10th quick on the day overall. Jerry Cobb's out in that 93. It does look like we are going to get the first laps out of this 18 machine of Landon Butler now. Hood is on the 18 machine, rolling around Anderson Speedway. And yep, they're scuffing in tires on the 18. So we'll see what this motor can do and what Landon Butler can do now. Also see what Jerry Kobza can do in the 93. Kobza trying to find speed. Landon Butler in that 18 machine. Trying to make it the 50th time someone from the Butler family makes the Little 500. Parallax Motorsports, Rural Hill Farm, TTI Machine, Shane Butler entry for the 16-year-old out of Bushnell, Florida, Landon Butler. Of course, the grandson of 1988 pole sitter Stan Butler for Landon Butler. As the 1-to-go signal is in the air. The 51 Logan Seavey, who's on top of your boards, also out on the track as well. As we see there, the 74 Tony Main. Currently 31st, riding out that bubble today. As there's Logan Seavey in that 51 machine. See if he can improve on his time at all. As they were pretty good out earlier, got quicker and quicker. We'll see what Seavey can do here. As this group is up to speed. The 93 Jerry Kobza. So far, still not the speed Kobza's looking for. And Kobza's going to pull off. Clearly not happy with the car. Not even going to use all the laps. So Kobza, not a good start to his bump day as he's trying to bump his way into the field. We'll head back to the pit area as we just now see the 2 to go. So not many laps at all there from Kobza in that number 93 machine. Logan Seavey not able to best his time, but still stays on top of the board. Scotty Adema coming around in the 44 machine and turns his quickest lap. 11.596 there for Scotty Adema. 11.596. Scotty Adema 12th on the day, 11.596. Adema 29th after yesterday's qualifying. Trying to make another little 500 in that 44 machine would certainly be interesting. That 29th just appears to be his number. He's made 2 other little 500 appearances, has started 29th in both of those events. Currently 29th at the moment, so this would be 3 for 3, starting 29th for Scotty Adema. That holds. Have some more drivers making their way out here for practice as we continue on. The final practice. What is turning into a very nice day. A little bit windy, but a much better weather day than we've had all week here at Anderson Speedway. See the 4 of Donnie Adams Jr. back out in the Adams Company Tax Service Incorporated, Jeans Root Beer, Camac Station, FTL Global Carriers, DB Adams Motorsports LLC entry. Also Emerson Axum back out in the number 4, so both the number 4 machines. Donnie Adams Jr., Emerson Axum, both out here on the track. And Donnie Adams Jr. just turned his best lap in the number 4 machine, 11.503 for Donnie Adams Jr. And gets quicker again, 11.381. This is starting to turn into a very fast racetrack here today at Anderson Speedway. 11.544 there for Donnie Adams Jr. So Adams puts himself on the board now, up into the top 5, 5th quickest today with that 11.381. We have seen 16 drivers out on the track. So we do have 1 car making their way. Well, now it looks like 2, maybe 3 coming, so there is a group of cars coming. I believe that one at the very back there might be Anthony Nocella in that 92. Yes, it is. So Anthony Nocella on his way back out as well. Nocella trying to bump his way into the field today. As you get some awesome camera shots for all of you watching at home on Dirt Vision, as you're able to kind of follow that. You saw Nocella pitted on the back row here, and Anderson Speedway able to follow him all the way basically from when he turned that corner onto the track here at Anderson Speedway. And see the 17 of Garrett Saunders down here as well. Saunders has not turned a practice lap yet today, so this will give us 17 cars that have taken a practice lap here today. As Brady Allum's back on the track in the 87 machine. Out of Taylorsville, North Carolina, as he gets pushed off in the Boyce Industries Gen 3 Motorsports entry for Brady Allum. Brady Allum trying to get used to this very, very fast car, as we heard yesterday. Car has been successful during the Little 500. Brady Allum just trying to get used to it. More and more lap time for him. As Garrett Saunders on the track for the first time today for practice in the 17 machine. The Kirchner Engines, Atlas Gutters, Swan Lake Resort, Dragon Racing Fuel, Atlas Gutters entry. Garrett Saunders out there in that 17 machine. Saunders looking for his second Little 500. Last year qualified 23rd, finished 28th in his first Little 500. As we do see Anthony Nocella out in the Nocella paving. Bentley Saloon out of Berlin, Massachusetts. Sella out on the track in the 92, Brady Allum. In the 87, Garrett Saunders, 17. The 3 drivers we currently have on the track here for practice. Anthony Nocella into the top 10 in the 92 machine, up to 9th quick, 11.496. Nocella finding a lot of speed. He did not have this speed yesterday, 11.470 for Anthony Nocella, so Nocella might be able to start a little bit higher than that disallowed time he had. One to go signal is out for this group. Checkered flag flies. Garrett Saunders is going to come around, take the checkered flag in the 17 machine. And Anthony Nocella with a lot of speed, 11.397. Anthony Nocella up to 6th quick today. Usually not a good thing when you get disqualified for not going to tech, but Nocella certainly looking like he's going to start a lot higher than that disallowed time from yesterday. As his best lap during that run he had yesterday, 11.658 for a total time of 47.235, the time that was disallowed for the 92 of Anthony Nocella that would have had him 26th. He is way above that right now, as those were a lot of laps in a row with 11.4, and then got down to the 11.3 there for Anthony Nocella, so something to keep an eye on. We see the 18 of Landon Butler, another driver trying to bump their way in, back out here, along with the car on top of the boards, 51 Logan Seavey, and the 20 Shane Hollingsworth, who's currently 3rd back on the track. So we have our fastest car on the board on the track, the 3rd place on the track, and a driver that got this motor changed and trying to make his first little 500, Landon Butler, back on the track. So Landon Butler and this team, a lot of hard work. Change a motor at the racetrack like that and everything, but they've got a shot to make this field. Logan Seavey today certainly probably a lot more happy with this car. Not sure if they made changes or what, but that car was not where they wanted it to be yesterday for sure. Qualifying in the 22nd position, but now down to the 11.273. That's their best time. So Logan Seavey finding good speed. I don't know if that team will re-qualify the 51 or not. That's a big risk to take when you're 22nd at the moment. Highest you can start is 16th. But they're certainly finding speed they can be happy with. Out of this 51 machine as the green flag is out on this group. Shane Hollingsworth has had his name up in the top 10 in about everything we've done, whether it was the first practice or qualifying yesterday and then today. So this 20 car looking like it might be a factor during tomorrow's 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500 presented by UAW. .667 there for Landon Butler. That's a good lap. And into the top 10 goes Landon Butler, 11.520. Landon Butler getting this 18 car more and more dialed in. Oh, big bobble, and able to save it was Landon Butler. That thing about got away from him in turn number 4. good save for Landon Butler. That would have been disaster as he's trying to bump his way into this field. Butler able to get it back rolling, sees the one to go. And Landon Butler got even quicker there on his last lap after the nice save, 11.516. Puts Landon Butler 10th. Logan Seavey got quicker, 11.269, now the top of the board time. So this 51 team has finally found that speed they were looking for. Logan Seavey looking strong here today. Starting to see how just interesting bump day is going to get with the 18 of Landon Butler as well. 11.516 with a very, very nice save for the 16-year-old driver out of Bushnell, Florida. As Emerson Axum comes down to the track. Looks like one at least getting pushed back there, maybe heading towards the track. It'll be the 2 machine of David Goodwill, but I believe we're going to go ahead and hold the gate. As you see Landon Butler get that 18 machine pushed right into the pit area. Butler's pitted right there before you start the ramp that leads out to the racetrack. See some of our fans in attendance here today watching Bump Day and Practice Day here at Anderson Speedway. Appreciate you coming out, spending the day with us. Wherever you're sitting around the racetrack, you never know, you might wind up on TV on Dirt Vision here this week. Continue on with Practice Day for the 4 of Emerson Axum back out on the track. Axum at 11.276. His best time. Trying to see if he can go to the top of the board here. Has the track all to himself. In the Kiko Coating, engines by Trainer, Nolan Racing entry for Emerson Axum. As you can certainly see all the rubber that's being laid down in the corners, especially a lot of rubber taken to this racetrack. That is going to be a great thing for Bump Day qualifying. Axum working his way around the racetrack, kicks that car sideways out of the corner. Loose can certainly be fast here at Anderson Speedway. And Axum's going to back it down. So Axum will stick with the 11.276, keeps him second quick on the board. Get him back. I know we have the 2 of David Goodwill as we saw there up there in line, ready to come down. See if anybody else joined him in line or not. If not, Goodwill will have the track all to himself. So here comes the 2 of David Goodwill, and we do have the 27 of Chris Jagger who got in line with him. David Goodwill down here in the number 2, the Whalen Motorsports, DDS Racing, Baker's Custom Cabinet, Bernie's Hair Salon, Graham's Signature Meals, Ken Whalen entry, Chris Jagger and his familiar number 27 machine, the J&N Stone, Jagger Racing, Professional Auto Sales and Service, his own entry out of Warsaw, Indiana for Chris Jagger. They're going to be the only 2 drivers on the track for this practice session. Chris Jagger currently 14th today, best lap time 11.664. With 2 cars on the track, able to go split screen for all of you watching at home, as you can follow both drivers out on the track. David Goodwill in that 2 machine, the driver riding the bubble. 11.696, his best lap today. But I'm not sure the lap times that we were kind of looking at yesterday even matter. It is a lot quicker today. For the drivers that were there near the bump field. And David Goodwill just turned his best lap of the day, 11.644. For David Goodwill in the number 2 machine. Chris Jagger's not been able to best his time yet. Goodwill quicker, 11.625. Goodwill consistently down to the 11.6s now. And Jagger 11.690. And a good lap there for David Goodwill, 11.516. That two's getting quicker and quicker. For the 51-year-old, for the 71-year-old trying to make his first little 500. 2 to go signal is out. Goodwill trying to get up into the top 10 in practice times here. See what the last lap holds. Chris Jagger sees the 1 to go. The checker flag will come out for David Goodwill in the number 2 machine. 11.795 on that last lap. But a good run there for David Goodwill. In the number 2, 11.516. Good enough for 11th quickest today in the number 2 machine for the Napa, California driver. And Goodwill's currently the driver right on the bubble. Currently sits 33rd after yesterday's qualifying. 48.030. The 27, Chris Jagger, 11.664 his best. Has him 15th today. Jagger 32nd on the board after yesterday's qualifying with a 47.726. And we see the 18 of Landon Butler, so a lot of our bubble drivers getting as much practice as they can here today. 16-year-old Landon Butler back out. They were able to put this car into the top 10 in practice last time they were out, down to an 11.516. Butler had a great save over in turn number 4. They're quickly back out here for practice again. We'll see if Butler can get back down to the 11.5s, maybe move up even more into the top 10. In this number 18 machine, he's going to have the track all to himself. On scuffing in those tires. Sees the 1 to go. Again, no time yesterday for Landon Butler. This team had motor issues. Had water in the oil, so had to wind up changing motors. And Sam Pierce Chevrolet team able to loan them a motor to give Landon Butler the opportunity to make his first little 500. As he takes the green flag. Seat time also very, very important here to Landon Butler. With the more seat time he can get, the better, as he's trying to make that first little 500, go 500 laps here tomorrow night. And a very good lap out of Landon Butler, 11.337. Landon Butler with a lot of speed. 11.420, they're getting this 18 dialed in. Bump day is going to be very, very interesting. Landon Butler consistently in the 11.4s now. Really has a chance to lay down a very, very good qualifying lap. That's another 11.482 that time. Lap after lap in the 11.4s with his best one, 11.337. 11.434. Very consistently in the 11.4s now for Landon Butler. Could equal a very good qualifying run. So some more making their way down. We got Landon Butler just looking at this. Certainly would go way up the boards if he could turn 11.4s in qualifying. Obviously that first lap kind of the trickiest. Usually the slowest lap we see. So if he could get that to at least like an 11.7, 11.6, certainly has a good chance for a good qualifying spot for Landon Butler. Jake McElfresh back out here in the 27 machine. McElfresh currently 8th quick today, 11.397 his best time. In the tin plate, Fine Food and Spirits, Greenside Realty Group, Rice Racing, Gordon Food Service, Black Diamond Earthworks, Patrick Rice entry for Jake McElfresh. If McElfresh can maybe get himself on the board up into the top 5. And looking on that board, we are going to have a very good race with rookies this year for the Little 500. As Landon Butler, Tim Creech, the second, both rookies, currently 4th and 5th here today. Green flag flies for Jake McElfresh, nearby local racer out of Elwood, Indiana. Has a lot of laps turned here at Anderson Speedway, knows the track very, very well. What McElfresh can do with the track all to himself here. 11.635 that time by. This is usually the lap when his tires start getting more and more heat in them, able to lay down pretty good laps. And McElfresh is going to back it down. So McElfresh just did a few laps there and then heads right back to the pit area in that 27 machine. It is still the 51 of Logan Seavey with the best lap time we've seen today, 11.269. 4 of Emerson Axum, 11.276. 20 Shane Hollingsworth third, 11.278. 18 Landon Butler fourth, 11.337. The 31 Tim Creech the second rounds out the top 5, 11.338. 4 of Donnie Adams Jr. 6th, 11.381. Anthony Nocella in the 92 7th, 11.397. Jake McElfresh in the 27 is 8th, 11.397. The 10 of Chris Neuenschwander is 9th, 11.463. And the 39 of Ryan Newman rounds out the top 10, 11.468. Doesn't look like we have any cars making their way down at the moment for practice, as the practice clock continues to tick here for final practice for the 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500, presented by UAW. That means we are inching closer and closer to bump day qualifying, with practice scheduled to end at 1:15. So 1:15 practice ends. Bump day qualifying from 1:30 to 3:30 here today. So 1:30 to 3:30 will be the bump day qualifying. Again, drivers get 2 attempts today instead of 3. So we will head down now in the pit here. I think Brett has an update down there for us.
Yeah, just a quick update about how some of these drivers are approaching this practice session today. Chris Neuenschwander starting 8th tomorrow, checked with him. They're just going to be out there scuffing tires today. They want to save that car for those 500 laps tomorrow. But then parked right next to him in the pits is Tim Creech starting 21st tomorrow. He is a rookie. This is his first Little 500, so he wants to do a full fuel load and get as many laps in as possible. The more seat time he can get today, he feels like the better he will be tomorrow in that 500-lap race. He is starting 21st. He feels confident that he will not be bumped out of the field later this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Brett. And yeah, Tim Creech, a good lap, and he's getting better and better in that 31 machine for Tim Creech. The second, as you mentioned there, 21st. Probably does not have to worry about being bumped, probably safely in this field. So not surprised that not going to requalify that machine. Logan Seavey's back out here in this 51 machine. They certainly have this car a lot better than it was yesterday. For Logan Seavey, 11.269. He's on top of the boards. Again, Seavey yesterday qualified 22nd in the 51 machine. Best individual lap, 11.351. But had an 11.7, 11.6 in his qualifying laps. A 46.477 for Logan Seavey. Highest you can start is 16th. Qualified 22nd. I don't think they'll requalify that car, but you never know. As Landon Butler is back out here in that 18 machine. Fourth quickest right now. He was consistently turning 11.4s when he had the track all to himself. That would be very, very good for bump day qualifying if Butler can continue to do that. Logan Seavey has turned a lot of practice laps here this week at Anderson Speedway. That was an 11.8 there for Landon Butler. That's not a bad first lap. That's pretty close to where I was saying he probably would like to be. There's his 11.4s again for Landon Butler. That's exactly what that team was looking for. 11.501 that time. .287. Logan Seavey almost turning his best lap that time by. See what this is out of turn number 4 for Logan Seavey. Can he improve his time? Slows down to an 11.333. He's going to back it down after that. Another bobble there for Landon Butler in turn number 4. Slows him down to an 11.675. So Landon Butler, a lot of 11.4s, but that's twice now we've seen a little bit of an issue in turn number 4 out of that 18 machine. If they can get through turn 4 smoothly, could probably have a pretty good qualifying run. They will push the 18 of Landon Butler back to the pit area. Good shot of the pits there. Don't see anybody moving towards the track yet. As we continue with final practice here for the 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500 presented by UAW. See a lot of teams down there working on the cars. Nobody heading to the track yet. Again, final practice scheduled to go until 1:15 here today. So approaching just a half hour left to go in final practice. For most of these guys, it'll be the last time they see the track until tomorrow night's great short track event, the 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500 presented by UAW. And if you have not got your tickets, trust me, you want to see this event in person. So you can go online, get your tickets for the Little 500. Also have them for sale here today at the main ticket office. If you're in the grandstands today, you can go ahead and pick those up. while you're out here at the track. That way you have your ticket for tomorrow. All seats are reserved for the 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500 presented by UAW. But of course, if you can't make it to the track, we'd love to have you watching at home on Dirt Vision, as we're going to bring you an awesome broadcast tomorrow night with all these great camera angles we've got. Brett Ashton doing a great job back in the pit area, bringing you all kinds of driver updates and stories. We're going to have a lot of fun bringing you this great event. One of the world's greatest short track races, the Little 500. 11 rows of 3 tomorrow. They start 3 wide, 33 sprint cars. Quarter-mile high-banked racetrack, ready for 500 laps. Live pit stops in the infield there, as you see on Dirt Vision at home. That infield completely transforms tomorrow. Will not look anything like it does right now. That will become the pit stalls for the drivers tomorrow. They will make pit stops right in there. And they top 15 yesterday chose their pit stalls in order based on how they qualified. Tyler Rohrig, fast qualifier, won the pole for the second time in his career, got the first choice of what pit stall he wanted in the infield. And that's all important because, of course, sprint cars, once they stop, they have to be push started. It turns into a madhouse in the infield area. Once drivers pit, everybody is waving, trying to get a push truck. So some spots are certainly easier to get a push truck to you and get you pushed back out onto the track so you don't lose too many laps. As this race very difficult to have good finishes and win in, as there's a lot of strategy and a lot to go to the Little 500 here at Anderson Speedway. And at this time, I think we have another update with Ashton down in the pit area.
Yeah, thanks so much, Corey. This one more so pertaining to yesterday, but big driver switch news that developed last night. Justin Grant will not start the 77th Annual Little 500. Hurt his shoulder a few weeks ago in an incident. Tried to come out here and run with that Hoffman Racing team. Was not worth it for him to possibly hurt it worse. But a very familiar face hopping into that Hoffman Racing 69. Billy Weiss will join their program tomorrow to run the Little 500. Justin Grant and the Hoffman team already locked in. They qualified 19th yesterday, but due to that driver switch, Billy Weiss will have to start in the back of the field tomorrow. But happy to see Billy here with us tomorrow, and he will make another Little 500 start.
Thank you very much, Ashton. That is certainly a big development there. We wish Justin Grant all the best and a speedy recovery in the 69 machine, but Justin Grant hopping out of that car, Billy Weiss hopping in the 69, so we will see what Billy Weiss can do tomorrow night in that Hoffman Racing number 69 machine. So Billy Weiss, no stranger here to Anderson Speedway, but that will be a little bit of a learning curve. Weiss has never been in that car, usually drives his own number 80 machine. So we'll see what Billy Weiss can do in that 69 machine. Tough break for Justin Grant, but certainly we wish him all the best and a speedy recovery with that shoulder injury, as we see the 92 of Anthony Nocella down here, and also the 18 of Landon Butler's coming back out. Garrett Saunders is going to come out in the 17 as well. Anthony Nocella getting pushed off in the 92 machine. Nocella, one of the drivers, trying to bump his way into the field. Nocella paving his own entry. Bentley Saloon on board that car for Anthony Nocella. Landon Butler's back in the 18 machine. These drivers trying to get as much practice time as they can, as these are two drivers on the outside trying to bump their way in, along with the 93 of Jerry Kobza, who we have not seen on the track in a little bit now. Kobza ran a few laps last time we saw him and pulled off, and we have not seen him back out on the track since. So you got to be thinking they're making major adjustments on the 93 of Jerry Kobza, trying to find some speed, as it is not long now until we start that qualifying clock for bump day. Under 30 minutes. Garrett Saunders back out on the track in the 17 machine. I think he's going to be able to make his second Little 500 start. And the field winding up. There is the 93 of Jerry Kobza, and they are up underneath that car working on it. I figured major adjustments were happening. They are trying to find speed in a hurry. You're getting closer and closer to that bump day clock starting. Anthony Nocell, Landon Butler, Garrett Saunders all out on the track. Nocell and Butler seem to have almost very, very even machines based on the lap times they are running. It's been a very, very close, tight field all week. And Butler is backed off in the 18 machine. Back down to his 11.4s. Sell that time by 11.505. So Garrett Saunders finding a lot of speed out of the 17 machine now. Up to 6th, 11.359 for Garrett Saunders. 11.359. Anthony Nocella turns his best lap, 11.377. So Anthony Nocella still 7th, but turning his best lap time now, 11.377. As we see the 4 of Emerson Axum head back down to the track. We will head back down to Ashton with another update. So Emerson Axum about ready to be pushed off. We'll go down to Ashton momentarily here, as they're getting everything set up back in the pit area for another update for us. Emerson Axum, Logan Seavey down here, ready to go out for practice. And Axum being pushed off. Currently second today, 11.276. 11.276. Emerson Axum's best time. It's good enough for second quick. So the top 2 cars on our board are the 2 drivers out here. Logan Seavey, the 51 machine, 11.269, has the best lap turn today. Seeing 17 drivers take time. Certainly interesting to see if we get Jerry Kobza back on the track for practice or not. Running out of time as we approach just 20 minutes to go in the practice time. With only 2 attempts today, you would think he'd like a little bit more track time out of that 93. Emerson Axum around, kept it off the wall, thankfully. So Emerson Axum goes around, thankfully able to keep it off the wall for the Nolan Racing team. So Emerson Axum goes around in the number 4 machine. Gonna need some track assistance with that car coming to a stop. Are looping it over in turns 3 and 4. Number 3 and locked it up and around it went. Locked up the front of that car and around it went on Emerson Axum as he got into turn 3. So the track safety crew there quickly, and he'll need some assistance to get that car back going. Getting Emerson Axum down the track. So Ashton's all ready to go down in the pit area. Now we'll head down to Ashton.
Yeah, thanks so much, Corey. While we've had a few seconds, I've caught up with someone very familiar to Anderson, Indiana, as well as the Little 500, Doug Fitzwater here. Tell us about this process and your story about growing up here and then eventually your road to running the Little 500.
Well, that would be very difficult in about 30 seconds, but I'll do my best. I grew up 3 blocks down the road from this racetrack. Probably came down to my first Little 500 when I was 7 years old. Later on in life, graduated high school, joined the Army, served my time, started raising a family. I didn't build my first sprint car till I was 30 years old and had all my priorities in order, but it was always in my blood to run this race. It was always a passion. You guys have interviewed some legends in the sport here over the last couple days. I'm just a guy that loves this sport. I love this racetrack, and the passion was always finally turned into a goal. And so I tried to make this race 6 times and failed to make the show. And so eventually, a couple of years ago, I finally got a good beast car, and finally turned 4 of my best laps I ever ran here at the Speedway. Got in the show, made the race, started in 32nd spot, stayed out of trouble all night, finished 16th after the checkered flag fell. And so it was one of the greatest accomplishments of my life, rather than raising a family and things like that. But yeah, I finished the race, and the first person that greeted me when I got out of my car was Kenny Schrader. And he told me he'd been watching my story for years, and it was quite an honor to see Kenny Schrader there when it was all said and done. But still got a car sitting over at the shop. People keep asking me if I'm going to come back. I don't think so. At this point, I just want to say that it was one of the greatest experiences of my life. And over the past 40 years, I've got to meet and hang out with some of the greatest legends in the sport. And, you know, for the old saying, participation trophy, I can say I've been there and done that, and it was quite an honor.
An Anderson native turned his dream into a reality with a 16th place run here just a few years ago for Doug Fitzwater.
Thank you very much, Ashton. A great story indeed. As Little 500 certainly can make dreams come true and have the 27 Chris Jagger. And we do see the 93 of Jerry Kobza back on the track. We do have an update from the pit area. I believe Brett has an update down there for us on the 93 of Jerry Kobza.
Yeah, Jerry and the team were thrashing down here, making a gear change, changing tires on that race car. They are back out there. They tell me they should be doing a mock qualifying run as well as scuffing those tires, but they were really working hard. Jerry was using the jack back here, getting those cars back, getting the car up to change that gear. So we'll see how that change increases his speed here at the Little 500.
Thank you very much, Brett and Yao. So trying everything they can here for Jerry Kobza to get this car together. We'll see if the gear change works or not, as they're trying to find the speed they desperately need. Kobza with the gear change, probably not enough time to do much else, as that clock will start soon for bump day qualifying. So for Kobza, hoping this is the right setup, the right gear, everything much better now. Also have the 31 of Tim Creech, the second back out. Creech has been good today. He's in the top 5. 11.338 has him 5th overall in that 31 machine. Jerry Kobza in the 93 machine. That was his best lap of the day, but it's 12.266. Still needing to find 11 seconds, but going in the right direction. Way up the track now for Jerry Kobza. Keep it off the wall at least, as Tim Creech the second's reeling in that 93 machine in a hurry, as they both come to 2 to go. Tim Creech the second there to the inside of Jerry Kobza as the checker flag comes out for these two. Kobza's best time now at 12.266. Still needing some more speed out of this 93 machine. So Tim Creech the second there. 5th quick still, 11.338. Practice times very quickly starting to come to a close again. Final practice for the 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500 presented by UAW ends at 1:15 here today. Quickly approaching about just 12 minutes from now. 4 of Emerson Axum comes back down after looping it last time we saw the 4 out, after locking the front end up heading into 3. Emerson Axum back down here in the number 4 machine. Currently second quick today, 11.276. So Emerson Axum's going to get the track all to himself in the number 4 machine. Axum in the number 4. Kiko Coatings Nolan Racing, one of the V6 entries in the field for this year's Little 500. Want to go signal for Emerson Axum. Flag is out. See what Axum can do here in the number 4 machine as practice time continues to tick down. We're nearing the bump day qualifying portion of the Little 500 to figure out who's going to make the 33 car field for tomorrow's 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500. presented by UAW. Emerson Axum again, a little bit interesting over in turn number 2. Axum heads away as you get a good view there, zoomed out of Anderson Speedway. The parking lot area there for all of you at home on Dirt Vision. See the campground nice and full. A lot of people camping here at Anderson Speedway. Been here all week for the 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500 presented by UAW. We have 10 minutes to go here in final practice, just 10 minutes left to go. See if we have any final takers for practice or not. Not, we will be very shortly underway with the bump day qualifying, figure out who makes our field. No movement heading to the track. The 51 Logan Seavies turned the best lap today, 11.269. The 4 Emerson Axum second quick, 11.276. 20 Shane Hollingsworth third, 11.278. 18 Landon Butler fourth, 11.337. 31 Tim Creech the second, rounds out the top 5, 11.338. 6th is the 17 of Garrett Saunders, 11.359. 92 Anthony Nocella, 7th, 11.377. 04 Donnie Adams Jr., 11.381 is 8th. 27 Jake McElfresh, 9th, 11.397. And the 10 of Chris Neuenschwander rounds out the top 10, 11.463. 39 Ryan Newman, 11th fastest, 11.468. 2 of David Goodwill, 11.516 is 12th. The 87 Brady Allum, 11.525 is 13th. 74 Tony Main, 11.556 is 14th. 44 Scotty Adama rounds out the top 15 from today's practice so far at an 11.596. 27 Chris Jagger, 11.664. And the 93, Jerry Kobza, 12.266. Rounds out the cars that have been out on the track for practice. The 17 drivers that have taken practice time today at Anderson Speedway for the final practice for the 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500. Presented by UAW, the 31, Tim Creech the second, back out. One of our rookie drivers that will be making his first Little 500 start tomorrow night. Tim Creech scheduled to roll off in the 21st position. Just looking for more and more lap time. Had a good lap today at an 11.338. Very, very different for Tim Creech the second, running a 500 lap event. Creech just almost turned his best lap there, 11.368 that last time by. Doing a very good job this week in the 31 machine as Tim Creech the second. You can definitely see a lot of rubber has been laid down, especially in the corners here at Anderson Speedway. We'll see what that means for bump day qualifying coming up very, very shortly, approaching just 5 minutes left in the final practice of the week. The only time the cars will see the track again if they don't elect to do bump day qualifying, and the only time our top 15 will see the track again will be during tomorrow's warm-up session, just to make sure all the cars fire and everything is good to go. Checkered flag for Tim Creech the second. As we have a good group coming out here. So this will be a lot of drivers taking advantage of the very end of practice here with just 5 minutes to go. See Brady Allen back out, Anthony Nocella. Also do see the 51 Logan Seavey. Seavey has ran a bunch of practice laps here today, as that team yesterday just did not have the speed they were looking for, but certainly looks like they're finding it today. Seavey has already turned 53 practice laps today. So after this run, he's going to be up near 60 laps of practice today for that 51 machine. As Brady Allen getting pushed out first. Allen currently sits 30th after yesterday's qualifying. Hoping that's enough to lock them in. They don't have to come back out here and qualify today. Not a guarantee they won't have to, though. 92, Anthony Nocella trying to bump his way back into the field. His time disallowed yesterday for not reporting to tech immediately. For Nocella, that might have actually worked out. He has been very, very quick today, and a lot quicker than what that time would have been. Logan Seavey in that 51 on top of our practice charts today, 11.269. They have found the speed they're looking for out of this 51 machine. And Garrett Saunders has been very good today in the 17. Saunders, 11.359. That is way quicker than what Saunders went yesterday. Green flag out on this group. Garrett Saunders currently sits 26th. 17, Logan Seavey there in the 51 machine. There's just 3 minutes to go in practice time. Brady Allen looks like off the pace a little bit in the 87. Be done with this session as Anthony Nocella is still out there turning laps in the 92 machine. Now Nocella backs it down, leaving just Logan Seavey on the racetrack. Has just 2 minutes remain here in final practice. Logan Seavey backs down the 51, so good for that group. There is one more car heading to the track just in time, and that's going to be the 93 of Jerry Kobza. So Kobza making it just in time here for the final practice. Kobza out in the red line oil. Jerry Kobza entry out of Folsom, California. Kobza hoping he can find the speed this time. Out of this 93 machine, this will be the final car for practice. So Jerry Kobza out for his final practice attempt as he's going to try to bump his way into the field. See if Kobza can do it or not. Here in a little bit in this 93 machine. This team's been working hard on the car all day long. End up changing a gear as we heard. On tires a little bit. Kobza doing everything he can to try to make this race. .308 that time by. Kobza is still looking for the 11-second laps. .098, getting close to the 11 seconds. Kobza and this team is heading in the right direction. Very good sign for this team. 12.096. Kobza a little bit of a bobble there in the corner. Slows him down to a 12.215. See if he can get through 3 and 4 okay this time. 2 to go, signal out. 12.352. Kobza having a little bit of trouble getting through 3 and 4. Looking much better this time as he comes out of 4. 12.274 though. Kobza is going to back off of it. Definitely the best we've seen from Kobza, but definitely needs to find more. In the 93 machine. Still looking for the 11-second lap, and that's what it's going to have to be to make this field. So that will be it for final practice for the 77th Annual Unified Group Little 500 presented by UAW. So as final practice wraps up, that saw the 51 of Logan Seavey turn our best lap time. We are going to take a quick little break as we get ready for Bump Day qualifying, which is coming up next, where we will set the field for our 33 cars for the Little 500.
Monday means race day for the Outlaws at Atomic.
They'll race side by side out of corner number 4. Trying to take the lead. They'll go wheel to wheel into turn 3. Splitting cars in turns 3 and 4 and 3 wide. Trying to power back around. He'll have a run out of turn number 4. We've got a race for the lead out of turn 2.
Blood in our hearts, dirt in our veins. Come see the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars near you.
front straightaway. Blaney picked up the third for Blaney Memorial.
They call him the voodoo child in that zero.
Gets it up the track, and just like that, Caleb Armstrong.
Unbelievable.
Gravel wins at Jacksonville.
Want more wins? Here's some tips. Brake late with our powerful titanium piston brake kits featuring our VRT Max rotor and all titanium hardware. Stay on track with the lightest, strongest, and safest rear torsion arm ever made in our exclusive AccuLength W-Link. Hold it all together with our huge selection of high-strength precision titanium fasteners boxed up custom for your car in part-labeled bags. Make the decision for precision. Smith Titanium. We winnovate.
This copyrighted Dirt Vision broadcast may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or distributed in any form without World Racing Group's written consent. Copyright infringement is a federal crime.
Welcome back to the 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500 presented by UAW here at Anderson Speedway. Ashton Smythe, Brett Baldeck here covering all of the action track side this weekend. Nothing short of storylines going into this weekend, and I think a big one we've been following all week has been this weather, Brett.
Yeah, it's still, although not raining right now, it still does not feel like Little 500 weather. Last year we had temperatures in the 90s, but the good news is, as we take a look at the Dirt Vision weather, there is a 0% chance of rain today. That is the first time we have had 0% chance of rain all week. We had sun out today, temperatures in the 60s. There are some clouds now, but no water will be falling from those clouds. That is good news for a lot of these drivers because yesterday Mother Nature threw them a curveball, but one driver that was able to manage that curveball was the rookie.
Yes, Colton Bettis, one of the 6 rookies in the field here this evening, trying to qualify their way into the 77th Annual Little 500, and he did. Not only did he qualify in, he is starting on the outside of the front row next to 2 seasoned veterans, 2 times winner of Tyler Rohrig, got the pole earlier on yesterday. Davey Hamilton Jr. will start in the middle, and Colton Bettis on the outside. First time attempting the Little 500, and he is starting on the front row. So many emotions go into him in that 26 team. He was actually here on property at Anderson Speedway earlier on, deciding not to run the Silver Crown at IRP this evening to focus on the Little 500. Him and that Sam Pierce Chevrolet, Aaron Pierce team have all of their eyes set on winning the Little 500. We're able to catch up with him earlier on about how is he feeling, how are his emotions, all of the other factors that play into it, and what's it been like to work with Aaron?
I'm ready to go. I'm pumped up. I'm excited. I've been waiting for it for a long time for sure. And to come here and sit on the front row, it's definitely a big accomplishment, especially at my age. And just come here with the best in the country and sit on the front row, it's really cool. I think we got a good race car. I don't think it was too much of a qualifying car, and I think it'll race really, really good. So I'm really excited. A lot's got to play out, and we'll see. I think we just got to hit our marks and stay out of trouble and get good pit stops and just stay out of trouble, stay up front, and that's it.
Colton Bettis hoping to continue off of that good qualifying run with a front starting position tomorrow, but 500 laps, 33 sprint cars, a lot of it can go into it. And something else unique that Colton Bettis and that 26 team have going for them is that V6 engine under the hood. We've heard Corey been talking about it all week. The 3 V6s that are in the field, both Nolan racing cars have that V6 motor, but they're a little bit older. When Colton Bettis and his family called up Dan Branks and said, hey, we want to run the V6. Dan said, I'm not giving you one of those old ones. I'm going to build an entirely new V6 engine for you. He went to a Chevy pickup truck, pulled it out, and completely rebuilt it for that Sam Pierce 26. We caught up with Dan himself earlier on about all of his accolades and now being retired and not so retired and how he's changed the game with this new motor.
Well, so Colton's grandpa actually called me and asked me to build a V6 like what Nolan's have or whatever. And I said, you know, there's no new parts. They're hard to make go 500 laps here. So I just said, I'll build you a V6, but it's going to be new. And the new LV3 that Chevrolet has in a pickup truck is what I started with. And it's got a stock crankshaft and a stock block. And the cylinder heads are Corvette LT4, and I cut one cylinder off and welded them up. And that was just to get the flow that we need to make, around 600 horsepower here. We ran it at the Glen Nolan, qualified on the pole for the first time we ever ran it, other than on the dyno. And with Colton, they inverted, and he started third and finished third. So I would say for the first night, we were pretty happy. Went home, worked on it some, made it better, made it drive in the middle a little bit better, and pretty proud of what they accomplished yesterday. I tell people I would suck at golf, so this is my golf. It's the only thing I like to do. I have, 2 nice shops, one in Michigan and one in Indy, and I work on stuff all the time. I love the engine thing because it's fulfilling. You're only as good as your last race, so you can work hard, and if you're not good enough, then you can go home and work on it again. And but we try to do good. So.
Colton Bettis and that 26 team continuing to put all of the pieces together for a great run. And that V6 engine, Brett, that is so interesting, so cool. We talked about a lot of the storylines going in from yesterday, but man, we still have some bumping to do tonight as we set the later half of the field.
Yeah, we were talking yesterday, those V6 engines sound much different than the other engines here, but speaking of engines, one that we did not hear from yesterday, that was Landon Butler. Of course, it's well documented that he had water in his oil, so they had to thrash yesterday, take that engine out. They did not get any time on the track for qualifying. They are going to be, it looks like, the first car out today for bump day qualifying. And in the practice session, if you're watching our coverage earlier on right here on Dirt Vision, he had some pretty solid lap times in the 11.3s, so if everything goes according to plan, he should safely bump his way into the field. Now, another driver that we are waiting to see if he can bump his way into the field would be the number 93 car, and he had some issues, and yesterday with the weather it was way too cold, so he decided to leave his car back there, not take his third run for qualifying. He came back out today, did a gear change. He's still struggling to find some speed, still in the 12-second bracket for practice, but we did catch up with him in the pit area earlier. Despite all the changes, despite what happened yesterday, the gear change and the 12-second laps that he had today, he is still confident Jerry Kobza can get in the field today.
The track's way better. We have grip at least. We had no grip yesterday. We've been battling. It turned out that our scales that we've been using to get ready for this race were not right. They were off by a large amount. So the numbers we thought we had in the car weren't even close. So round numbers, normally you went about 50% cross, 52% cross. We were at 36%. So we had no left rear yesterday. Now we got left rear, and now the motor's pulled down so hard it's not running. So it's this is the biggest race that you run. So we've been behind the 8-ball. Everything's taken longer than what it should have to get parts, get motor stuff. Everything's been an adventure on this car. Literally, barely got it ready last week to go in the trailer. The day before, I had to leave here to be here. So, with that being said, we are just really fortunate to be here, but this is a race you don't want to miss. You come all the way from anywhere. If you're local or if you're coming from California like we are, we're a mile and a half from Folsom Prison where the car's built. So, we're trying to take this Johnny Cash car and put it in the show, but it's been, one piece at a time, and it's been a challenge. But we're sneaking up on it. I think the car handling is finally first time ever. We really missed out the first practice day. If we had the practice day back, this would be a whole different adventure. We shouldn't be this slow, but it is what it is, and we're just learning as we go here.
So Jerry Kobza hoping that the warmer weather and sun today will help him find some speed. He said he couldn't even get oil pressure yesterday. It was so cold, so they pulled him out of line, but hopefully good things happen today.
Yeah, Jerry and his team have been busy, but nonetheless, he is still in high spirits. Glad to have him and his whole family here. Long haul from California, by the way, second year here for Jerry Kobza, so happy to have him here, and hopefully he can bump his way into the field. And Brett, it is that time. It is officially time to start the bumping process here. Cars starting to roll in, and that's all we have left to look forward to this evening. Practice is wrapped up. That was the final practice for the 77th Annual Little 500. All that's left is this bumping process where we will set the 33 cars that will start 3 wide for 500 laps tomorrow. Corey, you were the man on the call for the evening, and I know we are both excited to see how this goes and who will start the Little 500 tomorrow evening.
So Landon Butler down here on the track is Just a few moments away from getting qualifying opened up for bump day qualifying, where we will set the field for the 33 cars set to make the 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500 presented by UAW. Butler wasted no time to be down here in line. Looks like he's going to go out, try to lay down a lap, and then not have to worry about the day anymore for this 18 team. You get a great drone shot down there on the track. And just got the word from the track. At this time, the qualifying is open. So qualifying has started now. The clock has begun. The 2-hour clock for bump day qualifying to set the time. Again, drivers get 2 attempts. So the 18 will be the first driver out on the track out of Bushnell, Florida. The Parallax Motorsports. Roll Hill Farm, TTI Machine, Shane Butler entry. Trying to make his first Little 500, 16-year-old Landon Butler on the track. Third generation driver, grandson of the 1988 pole sitter Stan Butler, as he sees the one to go. Landon Butler will come around, take the green flag. What Landon Butler can do in the 18 machine. Car on the bubble right now, the 2 of David Goodwill out of Napa, California. Butler, 11.596. That's a great first lap for Landon Butler, 11.596. He's looking to do better than a 48.030, 11.426. 11.4s consistently for Landon Butler. 11.401. I'd imagine they're going to go ahead and lock this in for Landon Butler. No wave off signal. Butler will lock in the time here in the 18 machine, 11.408. .831, a great lap for Landon Butler. Will definitely put him in the field. So Landon Butler, 45.831. Looks like that'll make the 50th time someone from the Butler family has made the Little 500 here at Anderson Speedway. A great lap there for Landon Butler to get us started with a 45.831. Nobody in line to qualify yet. But with Butler's lap time there, the 2 of David Goodwill has been bumped from the field at the moment. So Goodwill now on the outside looking in. We will definitely see the 2 of David Goodwill back on the track, along with the 92 of Anthony Nocella, the 93 of Jerry Kobza. Now the 3 drivers trying to get their way back into the field. The driver on the bubble now, the 27, Chris Jagger out of Warsaw, Indiana, is the driver on the bubble. The Jagger Motorsports entry, a 47.726 now the bubble time. 47.726 the bubble time, and Chris Jagger now the driver riding the bubble. So Anthony Nocella certainly looked like he had enough speed in practice today to lock himself in. Was locked in yesterday with the time disallowed. So see if we can see the Massachusetts driver back out here at some point. Again, can qualify at any time you choose. We're 3 minutes into this 2-hour clock. At the end of these 2 hours, we will have the 33-car field for the 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500 presented by UAW. Very good job by Landon Butler and that team. A lot of hard work went in to getting that motor put in that car to give Landon the opportunity in turns of 45.831. A very, very good lap has him up in the top 20 for Landon Butler in his first Little 500 start. As see a lot of cars back in the pit area. Nobody moving yet to the track. See the two of David Goodwill right there on the end. Eventually, at some point, will be making his way back to the track as he has been bumped from the field at the moment in that number 2 machine. So again, your bubble car at the moment is the 27 of Chris Jagger in the 33rd position. 47.726. And Ashton has caught up with one of our drivers trying to bump themselves into the field. She's caught up with a 92 of Anthony Nocella.
Yeah, Anthony Nocella, not the outcome you wanted yesterday after that qualifying run, but are you feeling more confident today with the track temperatures and the conditions that you're going to be able to lay a fast lap?
Yeah, I'm hoping so. You know, we kind of struggled all day yesterday anyway, and just, yeah, not a good day. So still don't think we're the greatest yet, but we're definitely better than yesterday. So hopefully we can lay down some decent laps and get in the race and go from there.
Second year here at the Little 500, not how you wanted to end it last year either, but do you feel like you have a good notebook to come back and finish the 500 laps this year?
Yeah, hopefully somewhat. I think as long as we can get in, I think we have a little better car. So just no speed really yet. So hopefully if we can have a little speed now and then see how it goes Saturday.
Any insights you can give us on the strategy here for qualifying?
I'm still not really sure. I'm just kind of go as quick as we can. That's about it.
Anthony Nocella and his team still trying to figure out how they're going to approach this qualifying run to lock into the 77th Annual Little 500.
Thank you very much, Ashton. Yeah, Anthony Nocella talking things over. They have found speed today. He was pretty good in practice, certainly enough speed to lock himself into this field, so we'll see exactly when they decide to bring that 92 car out to the track, as there is still plenty of time. As these drivers riding the bubble certainly know there's a chance they might have to, and you see work beginning on the 2 of David Goodwill. That car is going to have to head back to the track now. Is trying to ride out that bubble and got bumped. That's how it goes here on bump day at Anderson Speedway. So David Goodwill will come back out in the Ken Whalen entry and try to bump his way back into the field. Chris Jagger certainly hoping nobody else bumps themselves into the field. If they do, Jagger's going to have to come back out here in the 27 machine. And then the next car in line after that, the 74 of Tony Main on the bubble as well. So Main hoping a lot of drivers don't start bumping their way in. If they do, Tony Main, the 74 team, will have to get that car ready to come back out here and requalify. So certainly a bump day here at Anderson Speedway that a lot of drivers are having to kind of wait out and kind of plan for and see what exactly the strategy is and when exactly drivers decide to go. Landon Butler wasted no time in the 18 machine. They did not want to wait around today. Laid down a good enough lap that they're now not going to have to worry at all. Butler safely in this field up in the top 20 in the 18 machine. So good qualifying run for him as we see pit road. A lot of these drivers not having to worry about today. Some are working tirelessly, others just making sure the car is good to go for tomorrow. Very comfortable with where they're at, not having to worry about being bumped. Of course, the top 15 already for sure locked in from yesterday. The highest anybody can start today is 16th, no matter what lap they lay down, as the top 15 were locked in yesterday from qualifying. So 16th will be the highest anybody can start today. That 4-lap time, 45.611. For the 99 of C.J. Leary, currently has that 16th position at a 45.611. So we have a great crowd on hand here today for Bump Day. Appreciate everybody coming out for Bump Day for the 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500 presented by UAW. And if you have not already got your tickets, make sure you stop by the main ticket office, get your tickets for tomorrow so you can be here to see the world's greatest sprint car race. You can see 33 cars, 11 rows of 3 take the green flag for the 77th time, as all seats are reserved for the Little 500. And the cones down there indicate the qualifying line. If you cross that line, your time from yesterday is thrown out. You will be qualifying a new time. We continue on here with Bump Day. The clock approaching 10 minutes gone in qualifying so far in the 2-hour clock for Bump day qualifying, and Ashton back in the pit area has caught up with the driver that just bumped his way into the little 500 field. Third generation driver Landon Butler.
First ever start for Landon Butler, but 50th start for the Butler family. And what an insane 24 hours you had. How big of a sense of relief and breath that you can take now that you're locked in?
Yeah, it's been unbelievable. First off, I just got to thank Sam Pierce and Aaron Pierce and Troy Thompson. Without them, we wouldn't be here right now. But yeah, it's unbelievable. I can't believe it. I'm lost for words.
How huge is this to be able to continue on that family legacy and be the third generation?
I think it's really cool. Our family has so much history here between my grandpa, my dad, and my uncle. It's just unbelievable. I just can't wait to keep the ball rolling.
Landon Butler locked into the little 500. His dad Shane over there I think was a little more nervous than Landon was, but they are locked in, and I believe a good starting position of 19th. Thank you.
So a very excited Landon Butler down there, and here is that 2 of David Goodwill out. They had locked themselves in yesterday, now back out in the 2 machine trying to get back into the field. They went to work the minute Landon Butler got locked in. And the 1 to go signal is out for David Goodwill, the Whalen Motorsports, DDS Racing, Baker's Custom Cabinet, Bernie's Hair Salon, Graham's Signature Meals, Ken Whalen entry for David Goodwill, takes the green flag. See if he elects to lock in attempt number 1 here. If he doesn't like how it's going, he can pull off, and he'll have another attempt left to go. $11.875. 11.875. That's not a bad first lap. Or David Goodwill trying to get back into the field. 11.583. 11.583. David Goodwill going the right way on the speed charts. Out of turn 4, takes the white flag. 11.560. I think Goodwill's going to lock in this time if he can get through 3 and 4. Gives it the gas out of 4. He's going to lock it in. 11.649 on his last one. 46.667. That is good enough. And definitely quicker than David Goodwill was yesterday. Goodwill back into the field. So the 71-year-old from Napa, California, with a very good time there, 46.667, gets it done in the Ken Whalen entry. And a very smile-happy crew for the 2 of David Goodwill. And the 17 of Garrett Saunders has elected to disqualify his qualifying time from yesterday. So Garrett Saunders was qualified in 26th position. That is now out the window. I was not thinking many would elect to do this. This could be a gamble with bump cars on the property. Garrett Saunders was quicker in practice today than he was yesterday. The track's better conditions, but if disaster strikes, you could go from being in this field to now being out of it, but Garrett Saunders is going to roll the dice. Highest you can start is 16th. The Kirchner Engines, Atlas Gutters, Swan Lake Resort, Dragon Racing Fuels, Atlas Gutters entry for the 28-year-old out of Lakeville, Indiana. Garrett Saunders on the track takes the green flag. Garrett Saunders liking the track conditions better today. Doesn't want to start where they were yesterday. $11.347 on the first one. 11.352. This track is way quicker than it was yesterday for sure. Garrett Saunders realizing that. 11.379. Very good job here for Garrett Saunders. Through 3 and 4 out of turn number 4, checkered flags in the air. 11.277. 45.355, the time for Garrett Saunders. And nobody's waiting to be bumped. This is very different than what we usually see. They haven't crossed the cones yet, but Tony Main, Brady Allen have not been bumped yet, and they are both down here. Let's see if they're just not going to wait it out. Jagger was the one bumped there, so Chris Jagger is bumped. We're going to see him back, and Tony Main's not going to wait to be bumped. So Tony Main elects to withdraw his time. So now let's see if this doesn't start a trend back there, because Garrett Saunders is going to start 16th now. Saunders got a better lap time than Leary did. Jumps all the way up to the highest you can start today, 16th. We've seen Logan Seavey practice a ton today. They were the quickest car on the property during practice. Does Logan Seavey and that team want the 16th starting position? Because now, with these guys running the speeds they're starting to shove these guys farther and farther back that didn't like their time yesterday. Now the decision's going to get more and more interesting. And Brady Allen says, I'm not going to wait. Allen just threw his time out. A very interesting bump day in a hurry here at Anderson Speedway. So Tony Main has 2 attempts. Main wanting to be nowhere near the bubble. I think Main knew what was coming and fired the car and heads back to the pits. Or maybe back in line. No, back to the pits, but Tony Main has thrown his qualifying time out. Oh, he has to go back. So has to go back to the pits for Tony Main. So have to make sure they're in the qualifying line. We will definitely see Tony Main back on the track after giving up his qualifying time from yesterday. 87 Brady Allen electing to do the same thing. Brady Allen out here on the track now, trying to not have to worry about being bumped or anything and run a very good lap. With the 87 machine here of Brady Allen as he takes the green flag. Out of Taylorsville, North Carolina, the Boyce Industries Gen 3 Motorsports entry for Brady Allen. 11.630, 11.630. That is among the best first laps we saw yesterday. 11.514. This track is just way quicker than it was yesterday. Definitely a benefit to these drivers here on bump day. 11.392, 11.392 for Brady Allen, who's going to go ahead and lock in this time. Say this is the best we got. 11.420. $45.956. $45.956 for Brady Allen. Puts him 23rd. So here does come the 74 Tony Main back out, as we are seeing the 31 of Tim Creech's second and the 51 of Logan Seavey certainly start to fall towards the back end of this group. Had good runs yesterday, but the track's much, much quicker today. Seavey, before we started, was already going to start in 22nd. Logan Seavey now scheduled to start in 25th. So working on getting the motor warmed up in the 74, Tony Main. Can turn the best lap he can. As once drivers complete 4 laps, even if they get bumped again, that is it. They've already used their attempt and locked in their time today. Tony Main on the outside at the moment. Also have not seen the 93 of Jerry Kobza, the 92 of Anthony Nocella. So as we see there, Scotty Adama is in the 44 car. The team's all on their phone. I would imagine they're looking at the times. As Adama's starting to get into bump territory as well. Something you usually don't expect. I think Adama probably thought, I'm in pretty good shape, but was not to be the case. As Adama started the day up in 29th, but quickly falling into that bump territory as Tony Main is out here in the 74 machine, trying to get back into the field. Out of Farmland, Indiana, the Big Stuff Paint and Body, Glenn, Virginia, Maine. Entry, Tony Main takes the green flag. What Tony Main can do here on lap number 1. A little bit of bobble there. 11.905. 11.905. I think Main might use his first attempt and head back to the pit area. Not sure he's going to lock this in or not. 11.703, going the right direction. But that first lap was not where he wanted it to be. And the red flag's out on the back straightaway. That was an 11.67, but he's not going to lock it in. I had a feeling that was coming with the 11.905 first lap. They're going to want that to be a tenth or two quicker. Laps 2 and 3, they're probably okay with. That first lap, not where they wanted it. So Tony Main used his first attempt. Main down to his last attempt. The question is, and Tony Main's just going to stay on the track. The tires are hot, the motor's warmed up. Main's going to give it everything he's got right now. They're comfortable, obviously, with where the car is. The lap times were there on lap 2 and 3. He needs a better first lap. So at this time, we'll head down to Brett for an update real quick.
Yeah, down here with David Goodwill, 71-year-old rookie here at the Little 500, all the way from Napa, California. How did that run feel?
Well, it wasn't our best run, but it was good enough, I think.
And what is this race? What made you decide to come out and run this race?
Well, it's been a bucket list item for several years. I've been racing for about 34 years, midgets and sprint cars, and we wanted to come last year, and the last minute things, we couldn't make it, and so this is the best of the best, and we wanted to come see how we stood out.
David Goodwill will be looking at that leaderboard all afternoon to see where he shakes out for tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Brett. As Tony Main is back out on the track here, this is it for Tony Main. Will be now or never as he takes the green flag. So Tony Main, this is it. You got to hit your marks. 11.601, there it is. Very good first lap for Tony Main, much better. And probably the right decision to jump right back in line while everything was still warm. 11.513. So Tony Main, right now, you got to hit your marks. Those first 2 laps were good. Just no mistakes. He takes the white flag. 11.804, that's still fine. The first 2 laps were good. Needs a good rebound lap right here. Out of turn number 4, Tony Main out of Farmland, Indiana, 11.774. 46.692. 46.692 the time there for Tony Main. Puts him back into the field. So Tony Main has bumped his way back into the field for the time being at least. In the 74. Puts him 29th. So that will bump the 27 of Chris Jagger. So Scotty Adama on the bubble. So Scotty Adama on the bubble now in the 44. We saw him down in the pits in the car. They are the next car to be bumped. So we will see if Adama elects to give up that time or if he's going to ride out the bubble. We have not seen the 92 of Anthony Nocella on the track yet, and Nocella had the speed to make this field in practice. So we will see what the decisions are, as bump day has gotten very, very interesting with some drivers electing to go ahead and take advantage of this track. And at this time, I think we've got an update from the fastest car from our practice session earlier, Logan Seaves. I think Ashton's caught up with that team.
Yeah, Logan CV has officially left property, had to go over to IRP to run over there tonight, but the crew is busy down here on the 51 machine. They lost the steering box earlier on, fluid all sorts of everywhere in the race car from the cockpit all the way down to the outsides of the motor, so lots of cleanup happening over at the 51 camp, but Logan CV's out. He was very fast earlier on today, but he is not going to have the starting position tomorrow that he wants, as a few people have already bumped him a few positions lower, so we'll see how Logan CV shakes out tomorrow.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ashton. And yeah, some drivers have to leave today, and I'm sure Logan Seavey's going to get here tomorrow and not like what he sees when he realizes how far he has fallen in the speed charts, especially with the speed they had. I think Seavey's going to wish if I could have stayed and just jumped to that qualifying line, maybe would have been a little bit better. As again, Chris Jagger has been bumped from the field now, so at some point we're going to see the 27 machine out here. And Scotty Adama is the car on the bubble in the 44. So we will see what drivers decide to do as the clock continues to decide. And see who we get out here next. We still have not seen Jerry Kobza either. So right now the drivers on the outside, the 27 Chris Jagger, the 92 of Anthony Nocella, and the 93 of Jerry Kobza are the three drivers out of the field at the moment. Sure, not at all with this 44 team Scotty Adama was thinking. So here comes the 92 of Anthony Nocella on the track. Had the speed in practice to make this field. If he does make it, Scotty Adama is going to be out here at some point in the 44 because he's going to be bumped from the field. So we have seen a bunch of bumping here on Bump Day for the 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500, presented by UAW. Here comes Anthony Nocella, one of the Massachusetts drivers out in the Nocella paving. Bentley Saloon, number 92 machine. Looking for speed. They certainly had a lot more of it in practice today than they did yesterday. So it looks like he's going to take the green. That'll at least be attempt number 1. Yeah, he's on the gas out of 4. Attempt number 1 underway here for Anthony Nocella. That was a very good lap there on warm-up, 11.607. Nocella might go very high up the charts. First lap time, 11.461. Talked about they couldn't find speed. I think they found it with this 92 car. 11.430. Consistently 11.4s for Anthony Nocella out of turn number 4. 11.435. He's going to lock this in for sure out of turn number 4 unless something crazy happens. It will not. Nocella's going to lock that in. 11.330, saved his best for last. 45.656, Anthony Nocella's in the field. Scotty Adama has been bumped. And Adama was in the car there in the pit area, so we will see that car very soon, I'm sure. And I'm sure Adama's thinking, this is not what I was expecting on bump day here at Anderson Speedway today. As he came into today 29th thinking, more odds than not, I'm probably going to be good, right? Nope. Adama now on the outside looking in. So a bump day full of excitement so far. And that will now put the 40 of Nathan Bird on the bubble. At a 47.304, so Nathan Bird is now the driver on the bubble. So here is that 44 of Scotty Adama. Knew he'd be out here quickly. He was in the car down there ready to go. So Adama's going to try to get his way back into the field and try to bump Nathan Bird out of the field. So Scotty Adama out of Fort Myers, Florida, in the number 44, the LJ Adama Motorsports Funding, with a special thanks to his mom and dad. Out, he started 29th in both of his little 500s. Best finish came last year when he finished 22nd. See what Adama can do in the number 44 machine. Takes the green flag, attempt number 1 underway. $11.633. 11.633 for Scotty Adama trying to get back into the field. 11.588. 11.588 there for Scotty Adama. 11.500. Here we go with Adama, gonna lock it in. 11.559. 46.280. The time there for Scotty Adama. A 46.280 will be the time for Scotty Adama. He is back in the field. Adama bumps his way back in. The 40 of Nathan Bird has now been bumped. So we will go down to Brett, who I think has an update down in the pit area for us.
Yeah, Nathan Bird will not be racing in this year's Little 500. The rookie is not on property. He's over at another racetrack that would be IRP. He's not able to make it back today to make the run. Corey, as you mentioned, I don't think anyone expected with the time that Nathan Bird had that he would be bumped out of the field. That is why he's not here today. But heartbreaker, his car is this orange one that you see behind me. It will not be moving today because the driver is not here. Back up to you.
Thank you very much for that, Brett. So heartbreak there. Nathan Bird's team is done. Bird not on the property, so their Little 500 week is over. Will not make the Little 500, and I think Ashton has another update for us.
That gives Jerry Kobza a lot of hope moving into tonight. I just went over there and swapped a few words with Jerry and the 93 team. They've not had the luck that they've wanted. They figured out a little bit ago that the scales that they've been using that they brought from home are not right at all. So it's been giving them inaccurate numbers, which has been putting all sorts of issues into the car as well. They figured out the rear panhard bar was literally right up against the rear brake rotors there. So complete madness over there at the 93 campus. They continue to throw everything at that machine to get Jerry back out there. But Jerry said, we are not going down without a fight. We will do everything we can to get that 93 car back out and qualified into the Little 500.
Thank you for that, Ashton. Yeah, they've been working hard on that 93 car all week here. Jerry Cobes and the team looking over it as they continue to make major changes, major swings at it. So the 27 of Chris Jagger has made it to the track. Jagger trying to get his way back into the field. That's certainly not what we were expecting here from Bump Day with the 40 of Nathan Bird. And my next question becomes, I wonder if the 64 of Ryland Gray's on the property. I know he talked about he had another race to run tonight, because that is the current car on the bubble. So is he here. This is getting very interesting. So Chris Jagger, no attempt there, so Jagger just comes out, gets the car warmed up. Did get confirmation that Ryland Gray in the 64 is on the property, and Ryland Gray is climbing in the 64 car at this time. So not sure if that is just in case they get bumped here, or if they can kind of see the trend coming and they're going to send Ryland out here anyway. An absolutely crazy bump day here with the Gray were to get bumped and then get his way back in. You're talking about Jake McElfresh finding himself on the bump here in the 27 machine. So it's looking like we might get to the case. It's going to take a 46 to make this field maybe. See the 64 back there in the pit area. Car is up. That is currently your bubble car. So Jagger going to get pushed back off here. Chris Jagger sees the one to go, just trying to get as much heat as he can in that car and everything. And he's going to do it again. Jagger doing everything he can to make sure this car is good to go when he starts it. Still has not used his first attempt yet. Just getting as much heat in the motor and tires as Chris Jagger can. In the 27 machine, gonna need a lap time better, the 4 laps anyway, of a 47.270. 47.270 is what Chris Jagger's gonna need to best the time of the 64 of Ryland Gray. As we do see Ryland Gray in the car, helmet has gone on, making sure he's all strapped in and ready to go. Again, not sure if that's necessarily just waiting to see if they're bumped or if they're just going to come out here and requalify anyway. So the J&N Stone, Jagger Racing, Professional Auto Sales and Service. His own entry here for Chris Jagger. Crew down there talking to him as you see the great drone shot. Jagger trying to get his way back into this field. Chris Jagger getting some motivation here from the crew. Knows what he's got to do. We'll see if Jagger gets more heat or if he's ready to go this time. That interaction there with the crew, it might be go time for Chris Jagger. Again, that did not use any of his attempts. Still has 2 attempts if he doesn't like how this is going. Chris Jagger out here in the 27. See if he can make it into the field. The 1 to go signal is out. Jagger needs to beat 47.270 Ryland Gray's time. Jagger's going to go ahead and do attempt number 1 here. See what Jagger can do. Warm-up lap, 11.904. First lap, 11.740. 11.740. The crew has the red flag in hand. Jagger looked good on lap 1, though. 11.712. Still not waving that red flag because Jagger's doing good so far. White flag is out. 11.674. 1 more lap and Jagger's going to get back into this field. Red flag does not fly. It's all or nothing for Chris Jagger out of turn number 4. 11.705. 46.831. Chris Jagger back into the little 500 field. 27 gets back in. That bumps the 64 of Ryland Gray out of the field. So Chris Jagger gets back into the field, puts the 27, Jake McElfresh, now on the bubble, and here comes Ryland Gray. That team was ready. They knew what was coming. Gray knows what he has to do. I would imagine Jake McElfresh is going to be near that car. He's probably going in the car any minute for the Patrick Rice entry. I'm sure McElfresh definitely thought there's no way I'm going to be on the bubble today. But from 25th when we first started to now, McElfresh finds himself on the bubble. A very, very interesting bump day that now here comes the 64 of Ryland Gray. A lot of these teams, I'm sure, are not planning on this at all today, but it's where we're at. We'll see if Ryland Gray can now bump his way back into the field. In the Speed Chasers, Tom Brewer entry. Out of Greenville, Indiana, trying to make his first little 500 start, the 2020 All-Star TQ Midget Rookie of the Year for Ryland Gray. So Ryland Gray doing that strategy of just trying to get as much heat and everything as he can into it. So one thing can create a huge chain of events here at Anderson Speedway, and some cars out ran very good laps, and Garrett Saunders coming back out is kind of what triggered most of this, jumping all the way up to position 16th. Has led us with a lot of cars. So we'll see when we get Rylan Gray back out here, currently out of the field. Jake McElfresh, now your bubble car. Longtime competitor here at Anderson Speedway, especially in stock car competition. I'm sure for that Patrick Rice team and Jake McElfresh, it's just a lot of how in the world are we on the bubble when we were 25th when we started this, but things happen. And a great lap by that 17 of Garrett Saunders laid down, taking that 16th starting position. Going to be real interesting tomorrow when some of these drivers that are not on property today get here tomorrow. They're going to be like, what in the world happened yesterday at bump day if they're not keeping up with this, because it's not what they were expecting it to be. So McElfresh is in the car there. They've got him in the 27 machine. My guess is that's in case they get bumped. But at this point, everybody running quicker than they did, they might just go ahead and send Jake out. Anyway, making sure the air pressures are good. Crew going over their game plan here in that pit area, the 27 of Jake McElfresh. That is currently your bubble car at the moment. So if anybody gets into this field, McElfresh will be bumped. A 47.171, the time to beat. That's what Jake McElfresh laid down yesterday. Have 1 hour and 16 minutes left in qualifying here. Helmet has gone on now for Jake McElfresh. We know at some point we will see Rylan Gray back on this track. And Nathan Bird not on property, who was bumped. So that's the travel pass number 40 machine. And still have not seen Jerry Cobes out here for an attempt in the 93 machine. Cobes and that team making major changes and adjustments. So certainly a very interesting bump day has developed. A lot more cars than we were kind of expecting to see. Certainly everybody has changed their opinion. The car in front of Jake McElfresh would be some cars that got their way back into the field today. Chris Jagger, Tony Main, David Goodwill. The ones right in front of Jake McElfresh that were able to bump their way back in. If we get to a situation where those drivers are bumped, they are done. They've locked in their times for the day. Saw Rylan Gray come out and head back to the pit area, so thought they'd come right back out and kind of continue that trend that we had seen. We saw Tony Main and Chris Jagger both do that, get a lot of heat in the car and then head right out. Rylan Gray has not returned to the track area yet. Still a lot of time left here in bump day qualifying that has certainly shaken up the back 16 of this field. It's completely different than how it was looking yesterday. As we see the 64 Rylan Gray back there in the pit area with that team. Still in the car. Looks like they're just going over the car, making sure everything's good. I don't think it'll be long until we see Rylan Gray out here on the track. Looks like the 27's team strategy with McElfresh is to kind of wait and see if they get bumped or not. If they get bumped, then it looks like they're going to send that car to the track. If not, it looks like they're content with where they're at. And once you come out, you give up your qualifying time from yesterday, so you're not technically in the field any longer. Rylan Gray trying to make his first little 500 in that 64 Speed Chasers Tom Brewer entry. '20 All-Star TQ Midget Rookie of the Year. Cool dirt competitor. Trying to get used to pavement here, and little 500, believe the about to send him back out on the track. They have indeed called for the push four-wheeler there, and here comes Ryland Gray back to the track. See if Gray does a few laps around, tries to get heat and everything. Or if he just goes straight out, I'd imagine he's going to try to get heat and everything here in the 64 machine. Again, Jake McElfresh back there in the car, sitting on the bubble, 47.171. The minute Gray's done, if he does bump McElfresh, McElfresh is headed right to the track. That team is all ready to go, it looks like. Ryland Gray about to be pushed off in the 64 machine. Ryland Gray up to speed in the 64. He's the one to go signal in the 64. And it looks like they're going to go with it. It's going to be attempt number 1. Yep, not going to back it down. So they're going to go attempt number 1 here for Ryland Gray. Speed Chasers Tom Brewer entry out of Greenfield, Indiana. See what Ryland Gray can do. 11.599. What a good lap right out of the gate for Ryland Gray. That's definitely good enough. I think we're going to see Jake McElfresh in a minute if this continues. 11.400. I think the McElfresh team is already probably pushing McElfresh's car. It's 11.424. Ryland Gray's going to get back into this field as long as he can get out of turn number 4 okay. 11.398. The best one was the last one. 45.821. Ryland Gray back into the little 500. Jake McElfresh has been bumped. So we are back to Chris Jagger on the bubble. So Chris Jagger back on the bubble now. So Jake McElfresh will be back out here, and here he comes. McElfresh and that team has the car pushed, getting a four-wheeler to it. McElfresh trying to get his way back into this field. Certainly not what this team was expecting. I don't think they had any intention of coming back out here to qualify, but now don't have a choice. In the 10-plate Fine Food and Spirits, Greenside Realty Group, Rice Racing, Gordon Food Service, Black Diamond Earthworks, Patrick Rice entry for Jake McElfresh out of Elwood, Indiana. Started 8th back in 2021, finished 12th in 2022. McElfresh and this team trying to get back into the little 500. If they do, they bump out Chris Jagger, who has already used his attempt today, so Jagger will be out of the field. There is Jake McElfresh back out here on the track. So this will not be a situation where McElfresh gets in. We see the car, he bumps right back out here as Jagger has used his attempts, so he bumps Jagger. Jagger's out. The other one's Jerry Cobes that we are waiting on. McElfresh can do if he just goes with it, or if they like to get some heat in these tires and motor. For the 10-plate Fine Food and Spirits machine for Jake McElfresh. One to go signals out, has not taken the green yet, so McElfresh might elect to kind of ride around the track as much as he can in the 27 before pulling off. And that is exactly what his strategy was, doing everything he can to get as much heat as he can. They're going to head right back, and I'd imagine very shortly we will see McElfresh back out here. Well, some elect to do just half a lap there. McElfresh elected to use a bunch of that he could. Try to get as much heat as he can to get back into this field. We certainly have seen it all today here at Anderson Speedway already with Bump Day qualifying. Some very, very happy teams, some successful stories, and some heartbreak for others already. Chris Jagger hoping he's not the next heartbreak story, but it's certainly going to be heartbreak for either Chris Jagger or Jake McElfresh here. McElfresh trying to get back in. Jagger 33rd place at the moment. Good view of Anderson Speedway here. Continue on with Bump Day qualifying, trying to set the field for the 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500, presented by UAW. So we have 1 hour and 3 minutes left to go. We'll know the answers. 1 hour and 3 minutes left to go. Still have not seen the 93 of Jerry Cobes on the track. Team was making some major changes once again to that car. They're in the pit area. Jake McElfresh, not what he was expecting here, but McElfresh knows this track so well. Trying to make his 4th Little 500. The 2019 CRA Street Stock Point champion, 2018 CRA Street Stock 5 Crown champion. Very successful street stock and stock car racer here at Anderson Speedway. Trying to get it done now in a sprint car and get this Patrick Rice entry into the Little 500. First time McElfresh has teamed up with this Patrick Rice entry. On a track that just yesterday with the rain and everything else has certainly made qualifying very, very interesting. As yesterday when we were qualifying, it just got so cold and so late that guys just not able to turn good lap times, and it looks like Jerry Cobes might be getting ready. Yeah, Cobes is getting all the gear on, so looks like it might be go time for this 93 team to at least see if they can get some heat in the motor. They have 2 attempts. Like at least attempt 1's coming up for Jerry Cobza. As McElfresh makes it down. The 27 just working on getting Thinking that car heated up enough for him. See the split screen here. McElfresh trying to get in the field, as is Jerry Kobza. So both these drivers on the outside trying to get in. Bump car is Chris Jagger now in the 27 machine, who got himself back in, but now back on the bubble. So here comes Jake McElfresh. Looks like he's going to take the green. This is going to be his first attempt. See if it's good enough to get back into the field for Jake McElfresh. Takes the green flag in 11.804 warm-up lap. That's pretty good. See what his first official lap can be for Jake McElfresh. 11.539. 11.539. .356. McElfresh doing a great job on what is a very good racetrack right now at Anderson Speedway for him. 11.209. Well, they might not wanted to have come out, but Jake McElfresh probably going to start maybe better than what they would have. McElfresh out of turn number 4. 11.431. .435. 535. 45.535, the time for Jake McElfresh. So McElfresh, they might not wanted to have come back out, but they had to, and they're now 17th. So a great job there, and heartbreak for the 27 of Chris Jagger, officially bumped from the little 500 and already used his attempt today. So the car on the bubble now is the 74 of Tony Main. We saw out here earlier get back into the field. Tough one for Chris Jagger in the 27 machine. Thought he'd got himself back into the field and now gets bumped as Jake McElfresh gets back into the 77th annual Unified Group Services Little 500 presented by UAW. As Jerry Kobza on the outside looking in with Jagger already using his time. Nathan Bird is not on the property. In the 40 machine who got bumped earlier. Saw Kobza back in the pit area getting all the gear on, so we know he'll be out here shortly. Has 2 attempts in that 93 machine to try and bump the 74 of Tony Main. Main had some great laps, though. Kobza's going to have to find about a half a second based off their best lap in practice and turn that at least once. He is going to bump Tony Main. Main currently 33rd. David Goodwill, 32nd. As we see Gary Cobb's in the car, and we will send it down now to Brett, who has caught up with the driver that just got bumped from the little 500, Chris Jagger.
Yes, down here with Chris Jagger. Heartbreaker, you're staying over by our car. There's nothing you could do. So I guess what's going through your mind right now?
It's just having fun and spending time here at the track and doing the best we can do. That's all I can do. So it's a bummer, but it's part of the little 500.
And were you even expecting this today? I know that the bumping wasn't really, but a driver went out. Garrett Saunders kind of threw the field for a loop.
I was worried, but then when I got some 11.7s and 11.6s, I thought, okay, maybe I'm okay. But then when I was still in the 30th spot, I was like, yeah, it's not going to be good. So it is what it is.
Chris Jagger still spirits a little bit high, but not a driver in this year's Little 500.
Tough break for Chris Jagger out of this event in the 27, bumped from the Little 500. As we see the Jerry Kobza team continuing to work. on that car, especially on the rear end area, making sure everything's as good as it can be before they send him out onto the track. In your bubble driver, the 74 of Tony Main, with a 46.692. 46.692 is what Kobza's going to have to top to get into the field. Jerry Kobza working on that car back there in the pit area. Has 2 attempts to try to get in to this little 500 field. Once he takes the checkered flag, that's going to be his time. So the 74, Tony Main, riding that bubble. The best individually there for Tony Main, 11.513. Total time, 46.692. Looks like they're going to push Jerry Kobza here. They are. So the Kobza car is moving in the pit area. Heading towards the track. I would imagine they're going to get heat in that car and everything first. As the qualifying clock continues to tick here on bump day for the 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500 presented by UAW. Kobza getting pushed back in the pit area, working on heading to the track at least to get some heat in that car and everything. Tony Main riding out that bubble once again after getting back into the field on just a completely different racetrack than what we had yesterday here at Anderson Speedway. Kobza heading to the track in this 93 machine. Imagine going to get some heat in this car to start with and then see where it's at. Based on what we've seen today, there cannot be a single lap anywhere near a 12-second for Jerry Kobza. Let's see what Kobza can do here. Certainly going to get some heat in the car to start with and then see from there. We have seen a lot of drivers qualify here today for bump day. Seen like 11 qualifiers, I think, here on bump day. Kobza who sees the one to go. Yeah, Kobza backs off of it. And just trying to get heat in the engine, heat in the tires before Kobza gets going here. Trying to get into this field on what is a very fast field. Jagger's time that got him bumped was a 46.831. That was not good enough to make this year's Little 500. So a very, very fast field this year for sure. As Kobza back to the pit area. As we have 52 minutes remaining, 52 minutes to go here for bump day qualifying at Anderson Speedway. There is the Jerry Kobza machine heading to the track very shortly, and we see Tony Main has already put the 74 car in the hauler. He's already used his attempt anyway, so for Tony Main, nothing else you can do. The car's in the hauler and just riding it out. Hoping to make the 77th annual Unified Group Services Little 500 presented by UAW. Hoping his lap was good enough to keep Jerry Cobes at bay. Heartbreak already for the 40 of Nathan Bird, not here on property, so not going to requalify that car. Got bumped earlier. Bird was hoping to make his first Little 500 start. That's to travel past GMS Hope Givers International. Mariota research entry for Nathan Bird, but Bird not on the property and got bumped, so. Cobes is just working on getting as much heat and everything in that car as he can. And it's going to take a lot of speed to make this field. Garrett Saunders today, a 45.355 put him 16th on the boards. And 27 Jake McElfresh, who had to come back out, will now be 17th, 45.535. CJ Leary, 18th in the 99, 45.611. Team checking those tires on Jerry Cobes' machine. Everything they can to try to get the Red Line Oil Jerry Cobes entry into this field. Out of Folsom, California. Take a lot of speed on this team. Cobes has not had much practice now with all the changes they've made on this car since practice ended. Qualifying clock continues to tick here at Anderson Speedway for bump day qualifying. We try to set our 33-car field for the Unified Group Services Little 500 presented by UAW. Again, if you haven't already got your tickets, make sure you go online and get your tickets. You can be here tomorrow night for the world's greatest short track race and see the 33 Sprint Cars 11 rows of 3 take the green flag. Also get tickets at the main ticket office if you're here in the grandstands today. If you can't make it to the track, certainly hope you catch it on Dirt Vision. Continue to watch the clock tick down on the qualifying time. It is a 2-hour window no matter what. So Jerry Cobes is being pushed now. Looks like they are going to head back to the track in the 93 machine. What Jerry Cobes can do here, trying to get into the Little 500 field. Cobes are back on the track in the 93 machine. Has not been in the 11 seconds all day today. He's going to have to be there and then some if he's going to make this field. Again, Tony Main, a very, very good lap. Main laid down earlier, a 46.692, 11.513. 11.513, Main's best lap. That also turned in 11.601. So Cobes hoping he has found a lot of speed out of this 93 car. Back out on the track now. Red Line Oil, his own entry out of Folsom, California. Kobza takes the green flag. Attempt number 1 is underway. See what Kobza can do here in this machine. Lap number 1 in the books. 12.394. 12.394 on his first one. .142. 12.142 for Jerry Kobza. White flag is out. 12.229. Certainly not enough, and I think Kobza's going to lock it in. And Kobza will. 12.355. So Jerry Kobza, not good enough there. A 49.120, 49.120 there for Jerry Kobza. Not able to make the little 500. So Tony Main looking like might have held on to it there in the 74 machine. So Tony Main currently on the bubble. Chris Jagger, Jerry Kobza have used their attempts. They were the drivers on the outside. Nathan Bird not on the property in the number 40 machine. Got bumped. As we have 43 minutes remaining here in bump day qualifying. 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500 presented by UAW. Tony Main's the driver riding out that bubble. And what could happen at bump day, though? We've had cars pull in at the last minute. Activity in the pits starting to wind down a little bit. Team starting to figure out where they are going to be. Garrett Saunders, a 45.355, the best time we've seen today. That was good enough for 16th, the highest you can start today. Jake McElfresh won a 45.535. Which will put him 17th. Tomorrow? So at this time, we're going to head down to Brett.
Yeah, Corey, you've been mentioning it all afternoon that this kind of all started when Garrett Saunders decided to go out. He was solidly in the field, but he saw that these track conditions compared to yesterday were much faster, so he wanted to improve his starting position for the Little 500 tomorrow. He was able to do that, but that has thrown everybody else for a loop. As you mentioned, Nathan Bird was bumped out. He's not on property. And then Brian Gossel, he's also not on property. He should still make the field, but he's going to arrive tomorrow if he's not paying attention to our broadcast right now, and wonder why he's starting on the second or one of the last rows for the Little 500. He thought that he was solidly in this field, but Garrett Saunders throwing everyone for a loop. But it's made today very interesting, especially compared to the bump day that we saw last year. We have a lot of interesting storylines, a lot of scrambling down here in the pit area.
Thank you very much, Brett. And yeah, certainly a interesting bump day today has developed here at Anderson Speedway. So the clock continuing to tick down here. On bump day qualifying day here at Anderson Speedway. And your driver on the bubble is the 74 of Tony Main. 46.692. So seeing the good look there in the pits back at Anderson Speedway, a lot of the teams starting to put a lot of the cars up. So we have caught up with the driver of the 17, turned the best lap we've seen here so far today, a 45.355 for Garrett Saunders, and Brett is down in the pit area with him.
Yeah, down here with Garrett Saunders, we just mentioned it. Maybe he's the one to blame for giving us a great bump day action today. So let's talk about just what the track felt like today compared to yesterday.
Well, the track, there was a lot more grip in the track today, but this morning we worked on the car. It was a lot in the car. I just can't thank all my crew guys for everything that they've done to get me through this week. Yesterday we were 23rd, 26th. I don't even remember where we were, but we were back there. So I'm like, you know what? Let's go out and we'll hot lap today, see where we are. And well, we ran 11.3, 11.3, 11.2, so we're a lot better than what we were yesterday.
So I guess how long did it make you to make the decision to go back out today? Were you kind of bouncing it back and forth, or was it when you saw that sun out where you're like, we're going to do it today?
Well, actually, last night we were kind of scratching our head, trying to figure out why the car it wasn't reacting, and we're like, you know what, today's a new day, let's go out there and see how it is, and we need to make a little bit of notebook. We've had the car together for 2 weeks now. I went to Plymouth and we made maybe 30 laps in the car. Then we came here and we shook it down here. So we don't really have a very good notebook on this thing.
And then last question for you was your family, your team members were so excited when you came back down here or going through tech. But so how much does the little 500 mean to you and your family and the fact that you're solidly in this field for tomorrow?
It means a lot because literally last year I was a rookie here. I have a lot of dirt experience. I just don't have much pavement experience. And my dad, he was retired for 40-some years, and he just retired last year, and he said, all right, it's time to go pavement racing.
Congratulations again, solidly in the field for the 77th annual Little 500, starting 16th tomorrow.
Very good day for Garrett Saunders and that team in the 17 machine. Very happy with the lap they laid down there, 43. Best time we saw, though, for the Little 500 was Tyler Rohrig's yesterday, 43.865 was the pole time for Tyler Rohrig. The 14, Davey Hamilton Jr., 44.666. And the 26, Colton Bettis, rounds out your front row, 44.690 for tomorrow's 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500, presented by UAW. That clock continues to tick down. Have to get the clock all the way to 0 for bump day qualifying here at Anderson Speedway. A very loaded field it's looking like for this year's Little 500. So at this time, we're going to go back down to Brett and Ashton down in the pit area.
Yeah, thanks so much, Corey. Story still continuing to develop down here. You've had the opportunity to catch up with some of the drivers who've locked into the field tonight, or more importantly, improved their starting position. But we still have until 3:30 for the end of qualifying.
Correct. We saw this last year. Someone could come thundering in with their trailer, in the next 30 minutes, get their car out and get on track. So that's why we have to wait for these until exactly 3:30 for this bump day session to be over. Now, we're not expecting anyone to show up, but you never know what could happen. If they're watching our broadcast, they say maybe I have a faster car, they'll show up.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, we saw it last year with Colin Grissom. Came out of the gates, showed up Friday, hopped in the car last minute, and then ended up winning Rookie of the Race last year in 2024 with the Little 500. So as we continue to wait, storylines developing, lots of murmurs starting in the pits here about, hey, is this guy going to come back from IRP? Hey, is this guy going to come back from just down the road? As things continue to develop here, we'll see what happens and if anything shakes out over the next 30 minutes while we continue to wait for the end of bump day here.
Yeah, there's just so much racing that's going on in the state of Indiana that we've been talking to the drivers all weekend. They're doing the Hoosier 100 and some dirt racing, and they're all trying to get all this in. Never expected that they may be bumped out of the field. So that's why a lot of the drivers aren't here. Racers love to race, so they're trying to get as much seat time as possible.
Yeah, and especially a lot of those guys, we talked to some of them earlier who were 25th and up yesterday. They were like, oh, we have no chance of getting bumped out tomorrow with only, under 40 cars being on property. Well, they put themselves in that position now. So decisions made yesterday that might be coming back to bite some of these drivers here today, but we'll see what happens over the next 30 minutes.
Thank you, Ashton and Brett. And yeah, wait out this qualifying clock. Things can happen. Drivers can show up at the last minute. We've seen it before. So that clock approaching, just 30 minutes left in the bump day qualifying here for the 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500 presented by UAW. And at this time, we're going to step away, take a little break, and come back here shortly at Anderson Speedway.
It's ARP Fasteners for whatever you race. From 2 wheels to 4. Off-road, on-road, even water. From the flat track to the salt flats. Grassroots racers, weekend warriors, and pros alike trust ARP. Made in America quality, family owned and operated. When failure is not an option, it's arp-bolts.com. No matter what you race.
Can't decide between the Outlaws at Attica and Sharon or 410s at Knoxville and Williams Grove? You don't have to. Torn between Jacksonville and Jackson Motorplex? No worries, we have got you covered. Hi everybody, Dave Reeves, and I'll be in the Dirt Zone studio Friday and Saturday for coverage of all the racing action Dirt Vision has to offer, but on a single screen. We will take you track by track to catch all the key moments. It is split screen racing that makes sure you don't miss a thing. It is the Dirt Zone this Friday and Saturday on your home for the greatest shows on dirt, Dirt Vision.
This year, we actually get to race.
These guys are sprint car drivers, stock car drivers, drifters. Here, they're going to drive something that requires a different sense of discipline.
It's a group of 12 guys who are really good at driving race cars.
Team NOS Zero Sugar. Team NOS Original.
Team Sonic Sour.
Team GT Grape. We're not sure how these cars are going to drive.
Let's go racing.
Since their 2001 inception, DMI Racing Components have changed the game. From open-wheel suspension, steering, and driveline components to their line of Bulldog quick-change rears, they set the new standard for innovation, performance, and value. DMI and Bulldog products are backed by the best customer support in the industry with more than 150 years of race-winning experience. Let our experience help guide you to victory lane. We race, you race. Let's race together.
I chose the Chasm system. A lot of the top drivers in the sport were using it, and being a father and all the back injuries happening, I felt like it's just extra insurance on keeping your back healthy and safe. Years ago, I broke and fractured my T5 vertebrae. Since then, I've always been on top of my safety stuff, but I think the Chasm is just the next layer of being on top of the safety.
Welcome back here to Anderson Speedway as we continue to count down the qualifying clock as continue to deal with bump day qualifying. And we do see maybe some movement on the 40 team down here. So we see Scott Hampton in the trailer there with the 40 team. That was a car bumped that we saw Nathan Bird in yesterday. To our knowledge, Nathan Bird's not on property. That team has the trailer back down. That car is not used in attempt today. It's currently out of the Little 500. So they're working down there with the 40. With the trailer down, kind of making a decision here what they're going to do with that car. So some decisions being made here for this 40 team. The Sonesta Travel Pass, GMS Hoop Givers International, Meyer Auto Research entry. The door back down on that trailer. It was closed. They're trying to decide what exactly they want to do here with that machine. That is the car that was bumped. That is still on the property. Chris Jagger bumped, used his attempt. Jerry Kobza not able to make it. So the clock continuing to tick on bump day qualifying. So the door down, but so far no movement on the 40 car. It is on the outside looking in. And the door is going back up on the 40 trailer. So we're trying to get an update here on what all is going on with the 40 team down there, what their decision was and everything, as that door went back up. The car was loaded up and everything was done, and then they put the door back down, had a whole bunch of people come over on that 40 machine that got bumped earlier. Working on trying to get Ashton down there in position, maybe give us a little bit better update on what exactly is going on with that team. So have about 20 minutes, I believe, left on the clock for bump day qualifying for the 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500 presented by UAW. So just continuing to let that clock tick down here on bump day qualifying. And qualifying goes until 3:30, so under 20 minutes left remaining here on the qualifying clock. Getting to the point, it's going to be really hard for any cars to arrive on the property and get in. So 18 minutes left. I do believe we've had an update on the whole situation here with the 40 team. Ashton's been down there working hard, trying to get all the updates. I think she's ready to give us exactly what all has went down with the 40 machine. So we'll head down to Ashton at this time.
Yeah, thanks so much, Corey. It's been an interesting past, I'd say, about 30 minutes to say the least. I walk over to Scott Hampton. He's on the phone, and I say, hey, you know a driver? And that's never a phone call that is a good thing here. Nathan Bird, obviously not on property, got bumped earlier, was very confident leaving yesterday that he would be locked into the field for tomorrow's Little 500, but he got bumped. So everyone started scrambling down here trying to find a driver as the car locks into the Little 500. We saw earlier with Justin Grant and Billy Weiss swapping situation. The car is what gets locked into the Little 500, not the driver. So they were all trying to scramble, trying to find a driver. They thought they had one, started pulling the gates down, got the clearance from a car owner and Nathan Bird and all the family over there at IRP, but they could not put the final deal together in enough time. So Nathan Bird is officially not running the 77th annual Little 500. Heartbreak for Nathan Bird, trying to qualify in as a rookie, but he will not be part of the 33 cars starting tomorrow night.
Thank you very much, Ashton. Heartbreak there for Nathan Bird and that team as their Little 500 week comes to an end and they will miss it. That will essentially kind of wrap up bump day here at Anderson Speedway on what has been a very interesting day that ends with storylines, had it throughout here at Anderson Speedway. Certainly has set up a great field for tomorrow's 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500 presented by UAW for what's going to be a very, very good race tomorrow. So make sure we are all out here to see, and we hope you all tune in tomorrow with us on Dirt Vision for the 77th Annual Unified Group Services Little 500 presented by UAW. That will be it from here for Bump Day, and we will see you all tomorrow here on Dirt Vision.
This has been a presentation of Dirt Vision, a World Racing Group property. For information about upcoming broadcasts, follow us on social media, including Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. You can also watch more than 2,500 classic races and shows anytime at dirtvision.com or the Dirt Vision app.